Knock, knock. It is 6 o'clock on April 1st, 2026.
6:30.
6:30, thank you for the correction. 6:30 p.m., April 1st. I'm calling to order the Prop 218 ad hoc committee meeting. I don't see anybody in the audience unless Caitlin had an opening comment. Nope, okay. Let's start with the roll call, starting with you, Terry.
Terry Lincoln.
Dennis Poseidon.
Sarah Beard.
Dale Mancino.
Scott McVeigh.
Jim Waterley, consultant.
Excellent. Okay, so first item on the agenda is a review of the Prop 218 process, rules, regulations, whatnot. We did cover some of it last time. One of the big parts that we haven't even begun to discuss is the justification aspect of it. All the charts and whatnot. Now, if you have the Bella Vista one, and I'm not sure if you have it right in front of you, it is an example of it. I could have brought the one we did last time, back in 2021, but I wasn't a fan of it. But in there, it will cover a lot of pretty much all the requirements, all the clarifications, the documentations to justify changing your rates. And they have a number of things in there that we didn't have in ours. So we need to be working on that. And I know, Sarah, you're not available much beyond today, are you?
We're gonna be leaving, April 20th, and I'll be back. We're not going as far as I thought. So I'll be home May 15th.
Oh, okay. Tax season done for you then?
No, not yet. Not to the 15th.
Not yet.
It's not the 15th, I know.
Not
I understand that. So I'm kind of looking, Dennis, Terry maybe, working together on some of that justification aspect of it. Is that something you guys can be doing?
Yeah.
Okay. We can get you copies of Centerville's,
Yeah,
Bella
Centerville's.
Vista's, our old one, because after we determine what the base rate will start at and then the annual increases. One thing we need to remember is the board failed to implement a certain part of that. So under the water rate, we charge 4.1%, and that's to go into reserve, but there was supposed to be 1.9% in there also for a construction cost index, sort of an inflationary hedge. We've never charged the customers that. We have the same thing in the base rate, that 1.9 that never got charged. Okay, technically, we could impose that right now.
The base rate went up each year.
Yes, it did, but only by 1.8%, which was supposed to go into reserves. Okay, and that was sort of,
So we did it, but we didn't put it in the
we
reserves.
didn't put it in.
Yeah.
No, we didn't collect the money.
We didn't collect it.
Well, if
We never collected the 1.9 on either,
if the base rate went up, why didn't
Yeah.
we?
because we only increased it by 1.8. And there's two components to the increase: the construction cost index and the consumer price index. One was at 1.8, one was at 1.9. We've only collected the 1.8 on the base rate every
And
year.
that was both in there, in that old one?
In the rate study that everybody approved, it's in there. Same thing on the water, and it never got collected.
I didn't
You
remember.
know, it was an
Yeah, I
oversight.
didn't either.
Okay, so either we, and I like the idea of it being broken down. So maybe in the justification, we do that, the construction cost index and also consumer price index, and identify what it's supposed to be used for. And planning and steering yesterday was working on various reserve accounts to make some proposals to the board as far as renaming or clarifying. And I don't want to go into that right now, but we would then designate what the amount is and where it goes. We thought that the reserve accounts were kind of vague in their description for use and whatnot. And I know in the past, boards have just kind of rubber stamped prior managers to use whatever, and it depleted it. So that's my concern. Things that need to be in the justification. What do you think?
In the justification?
Right, the whole aspect of the justification, which is probably, what, 8 to 10 pages? Okay,
Well,
so
we-
there's some,
Yeah, we have to know, I think we're not kind of far enough along. We'd have to know, are we doing like we did last year? Are we going by meter size?
well, we'll
What are
get
we
to that.
justifying? We don't
Well, I
really know
understand
what
that,
we're
and we'll,
justifying.
we'll get to that a little bit later in the meeting. But basically, it's the first item on the agenda is the rules and whatnot, and the process for doing the Prop 218. We do know that once we come up with whatever the proposal is and the board approves it, we put out a 45-day notice. And we want to have at least one, if not two, public informational meetings prior to that, so that people know, and I'm hoping we have the justification and rate schedules, charts, and explain everything, so that, you know, they understand what we're trying to do.
Well, we have the aging infrastructure,
Right.
so the justification would be prolonging the life and quality of the distribution system and water
Okay.
treatment plant.
What are the needs of the district? Why this amount? So part of the justification will be based a little bit on Jim's presentation
Capital
too.
improvement, yes.
So the capital improvement, and the fact that we want to identify the needs and what their priorities are, so that we can say, this project is number 1, 2, 3. One of the things we talked about yesterday was that it should be based on the biggest bang for the buck. So if we're trying to prevent a leak, let's try to prevent the one that impacts the most customers,
The most efficient.
the most efficient use of the funds. Okay. Other items, just a sort of an outline of the justification. We've got the charts, percentages and whatnot. But we need to do what we're trying to do, which is cover projected MOU changes, cover projected costs that you've been doing,
Yep.
and plugging in the annual increase factors for those things. And then we probably, in the justification, ought to be talking about reserve accounts and building them. And at the next board meeting, Logan and I will talk about some of the proposals for moving some funds from different places and whatnot we discussed. And that'll be something for the board. Well, I think we need to include in the justification why we're doing certain things. Which would be partly a presentation or the information you provide, as far as we're gonna need to replace some valves.
Aged
We're gonna need to
infrastructure
do a
from-
PRV, and this is where, and this is, sort of the why of it also. Okay, so those are some of the things that we'll need to get to you guys for plugging that in. That's good, we need that.
Right.
I hope we're getting that. Sometimes it's just,
Oh, yeah.
I
Uh-huh.
can see it, but we're not getting it.
I'd almost rather it fell over the Shasta Lake watershed, or in the mountains, it's snow, but that's okay. What other items in the justification? You worked on it last time, didn't you, in 21?
No, it was all done when I,
Oh, okay. You did for a while.
I dropped out and you took my place.
right, but it was pretty
Okay.
much done by
Yeah,
then.
yeah, it was right
Right.
at the end.
I was gonna be involved, but my father-in-law was there, and he was deep into dementia, so I played night watch. But Dennis, other aspects of the justification, because that's a big piece of it. The rest of it's kind of math.
Yeah,
I've got the old one right here.
Right. You weren't particularly happy with it, though. I thought, and I
Well-
thought there were some shortcomings.
Well, it said, one thing it said was we're just going to eliminate the ag. And then I think right at the end, I think the board rejected it or something.
Yeah.
Because right at the end, boom, it changed.
Uh-huh.
But I've got, got documentation that, the spreadsheet showed the ag 0.
Allocations,
Yeah,
or, yeah. Uh-huh.
And we got all,
But the district is started as an agriculture district.
Yeah.
And we still have over 200 paid customers.
Yeah.
And we can't throw them out. Okay, anything else you want to add to this? And we can come back to it and add a few more things if we want to. I won't get into the billing aspect just yet, but we'll do that. I think if we're ready, then we're going to turn some time over to you
Okay.
to do that.
All right. Well, good evening. Thank you for your time today, and for those that are going to be watching and following, thank you for your participation. I'm going to go over a presentation first, and then I would like to walk through a spreadsheet. And so I'm going to move this over and that, and then hit present here. Okay, so I'm going to be going over the capital improvement plan portion. So we have a draft plan that we started earlier this year. So the district does not have a formal capital improvement plan. There's a there's a list of projects, but it's not in a formal state that we can compile and take a look at. Okay, what are the needs of the district? What are the priorities of these? How much are they going to cost? What are the impacts of the district? And what are some funding strategies? Because most of the infrastructure here is original or quite past its useful life. It's no surprise to the ratepayers that there's impacts in the summertime with water breaks and outages and just those kinds of impacts. So, with Dale on board, Dale has been pretty incredible resource and has helped kind of figure out some of the problems and constraints with the system. And we've got some ideas, and what we're trying to do is it's a draft plan where we're starting to capture ideas and put it on paper. It's not yet refined on priorities because there's little micro assessments that'll help inform that plan. But ultimately, the goal of this is to prioritize the needs of the district so that the district remains in operation. The ratepayers have continued water use. We have minimal impacts, and there's some ideas on how we can put some good funds to use early, minimize impacts, buy some time while we go after some of these major capital improvements. So you'll understand more as I get to the spreadsheet. The spreadsheet is a little bit more of an internal use that I'm going to walk you through as a transparent way of how we're tackling this. And then, of course, I have a simple sheet that I can share as well. All right, so here's just a quick look at what that sheet looks like. It's most of it. But this is meant to explain what the district, how the district is sorting its projects. And I have it organized by year over there on the far left column. I have a bigger view that I'm going to show you in a minute. But this is going to be something for the board to review and ultimately approve at some point. And then the general manager is going to, go after these projects with consultants, a consulting team, and go after grants. And then there's also you'll see some other plan A, plan B type of strategies as well. But this is just a draft capital improvement plan that's going to some of these are going to be listed as affordable, and then some of these are not affordable. Grants are required. All right, so we've got some key funding areas. We have typical operations and maintenance. I'm putting that as a reference because there are things that the team will do throughout the fiscal year where they are doing normal maintenance and operations and sometimes repairs. That's routine stuff. And then you have in-house projects that the spreadsheet is capturing that the team is qualified to do. However, this is something that doesn't fit in an operations and maintenance budget. This is something that's a little bit more capital driven and it exceeds that budget. And so we have a list of those projects we're going to bundle as one, and I'll explain more as you see it. And then, of course, for major capital projects, these are going to require that external funding sources, and most of the time it'll have like a match requirement. And so that'll need a funding plan and ultimately a project fee. So this will, it identifies the smaller isolation valve and pressure reducing valves that have failed. They do not work. or they're failing. And so they're at a critical point where it needs to be addressed. Also, by addressing these projects, it will help minimize when impacts do happen. So instead of shutting off half the district whenever there's a leak, and you can't shut off all these isolation valves, we'll actually minimize it to a street or two and just really minimize that. And that will speed up that process too, because when there is a break, you have to de-water, then you have to refill it, so it just ultimately doing these projects are going to really speed up the turnaround on those impacts when they do happen.
Some of this can go into the justification and the plan for how we're going to do some of the repairs that are necessary.
Yeah, and the pressure reducing valves, they're risk mitigation, and it's kind of like a self-preservation project where you have extremely high pressures. The pipes that are used can handle rated at 150 psi when they're brand new, and it diminishes over time, and we're seeing that as evidenced by all the breaks. So to replace these key pressure reducing valves is going to really help save the district from unnecessary expenses
Water
of
loss.
bleeding out and water loss, of course. So again, I just want the operation maintenance, they're routine and recurring. Those are the day-to-day costs, the local project fees. This is that's the in-house projects that I'm referring to, where they're a project, but we can reduce overhead. We can control it a lot more by doing it ourselves. And that's the in-house. They're too large to be routine, and it's an in-house reality. Major capital projects obviously are going to be, large-scale distribution zones and treatment plants and storage tanks, and that's just something that is not fundable under the ratepayers. So it exceeds what local rates can absorb. Grants are required. All right, so the local project funding, just to kind of hone in on that just a little bit more. So what is necessary is a local project fee. So every project, anytime you have an increased rate, you have to tie it to something. And if you say you're going to work on a pressure reducing valve project, you can't go and work on something different. So they're specific to a project, and that keeps accountability, it keeps transparency. The ratepayers understand what the project is being tackled and what it's for. And so what we're trying to do is first compile that list of projects, and then try to identify the revenue streams for these things. And if it can't be absorbed with unrestricted funds, let's say a surplus of funds, then a project fee is required. And I'll break down coming up what that's going to look like with some identified in-house projects. It's not a complete list. We could probably add or take away or reprioritize or push out. We have some near term and maybe some out years. So again, the in-house work will help lower overhead or soft costs of consultants and inspection fees and all these things, and implement a faster project. And it is limited by our staff, and so that's why we'll only put those projects in the buckets that we can handle ourselves. Now, if it's too deep or too complex, that's a time when you hire a contractor. All right, so why this matters under Prop 218. Prop 218 helps support a project fee structure for local project costs, but it doesn't replace the need to seek outside funding for major capital projects. So I was brought on to help kind of find strategies and grants and opportunities for the district to go after, and hopefully, ideally, get 100% funding. That's the ultimate objective all the time. Now that we've identified a number of programs, we've tried talking with the state, we aren't failed enough to qualify for that emergency, we're going to fund you first type of stuff. So it is competitive, and it's just we're not going to get the love that we think we qualify for. So this draft CIP is going to show the federal share. If all goes well, we get the federal share, and then it'll have a local match tied to it. Now, sometimes there are some nuances to this where you can have a grant-like situation where there's a principal and then a loan, and you can have loan forgiveness, and there's qualifiers for that. And so disadvantaged districts, they tend to do really well getting that loan forgiveness, but you shouldn't count on it. So my spreadsheet is putting it as if we're counting on funding it with a project fee. So when we identify those projects and everyone agrees, yeah, that sounds like a good plan, we gotta do this, we have no choice to do this, otherwise we're gonna fail. The project fee will be listed, and if the project is under budget and that project is paid for, then the fee stops, right? And so there's always, just because there's a fee doesn't mean it's going to last forever. It's kind of my point on that, and it's mostly going to apply to those local in-house projects.
Same thing with the loans. You have a one treatment plant loan that's going to expire.
Right. So the district's not treating every need the same. So smaller in-house infrastructure items such as isolation valves, like I mentioned in the pressure reducing valves, they need to be identified as a local project fee. So let's just say that there's 10 of them. We don't want 10 project fees for the 10 valves. We're going to bundle it as a valve project or a valve and pressure reducing valve project. So that's kind of the strategy, is to kind of figure out what we can take on, what year we're going to do that, and then put a project fee based on those estimates that we have, because we know that we can source the parts. We have estimates on traffic control that's required. So if it takes all of our crew and we still have to hire traffic control for a busy road, then we'll have those costs put in there as well. So it'll have some really, I don't want to say high estimates, it's conservative, but ideally we're going to find every way to save and shave off funds so that that's paid off right away. And so
Part of that fee, though, what you mentioned was PACE engineering. And like with grants and things, they administer them and they do the engineering work and they get the fees for that. So that would be included in the cost of these various projects.
be total project costs. So the district's committed to maintaining the infrastructure and services that our community depends on every day, and to continue delivering safe, dependable water and services. We also need a funding structure that keeps pace with actual costs. So there is an operations and maintenance side of that will do the supplies and chemicals and the things it needs every day. But we also are going to try to keep pace with construction costs. So everyone knows we have a war in Iran, got a lot of energy crisis kind of talk happening. So there's some unknowns with the project cost, but we're going to make our very best guess at it. But implementing that fee to be able to start bringing those funds in will allow the district to go and get like a low interest loan, and then with that money coming in, make those principal payments.
Hold on a second. See the portion Clear Creek Community Service District committed to maintaining infrastructure services. This is kind of that opening statement that comes into the justification portion.
Absolutely.
So we need some verbiage like that. A little bit of history on the district. A few things like that before we jump
Yeah, in
into the
order
weeds.
to provide safe, clean drinking water.
Right. I like the part
prices
that it's not about expansion, but preservation of
Preservation,
infrastructure.
absolutely.
I think that's important too.
Yeah, definitely not about expansion. It's about replacing the aging infrastructure and keeping solvent. What we can't do is break the system. We need to, what I mean by that is financial. You can't break the district financially. So we have to come up with a really good plan, amortize out these projects, and try to value engineer where we can some of those estimates down so that we can keep the, get the project, but keeping rates low at the same time. So it's about ensuring that the systems serving your home and business today will continue to function reliably for years to come. So some proposed next steps, obviously, is the community engagement is the most important one. It's got to be transparent for those that are watching. I'm sure there's going to be that spreadsheet available to you, but it might be hard to see on the screen there. But when I get to that, I'm going to try to do the best I can to break down a little bit more what these projects are for, so that there's that understanding, because when we start talking about project fees, it's just going to give people that anxiety. So there is a plan, there are some plan Bs, and I'll try to go over some of that funding strategy that it took me a while to figure out. And then this rate analysis, that's part of this process, to conduct that cost of service study to determine fair and proportional rates, again, according to what the district ratepayers can afford. So if it becomes where the fees are stacking on each other and it's too much, we've got to find some relief somewhere. Now, we did walk through some of this in our planning and steering yesterday, and we have some ideas, a way to soften things so that when we're talking about replacing the old infrastructure, it won't hurt as bad because there are some strategies that we can do. So we're doing the best we can, and we're also trying to do the best we can to be transparent with, thinking out loud, if you will, all the things that we're looking at. Now, the implementation timeline. So what we're trying to do is confirm the items that are true operations and maintenance costs. So keep it out of the capital project budget or put it into operations. Identify small but necessary infrastructure items that could be grouped as a local project fee or in-house work. Those are the valves and PRVs. Keep the large design, planning, and construction projects in the external funding category. Complete the rate study and draft proposal. Public outreach will continue in community meetings. And then, of course, the formal Prop 218 notice and 45-day protest period. So, and then finally, the board adoption and phased implementation of the approved rates. Now, that's what I have for the narrative. I want to now share with you the spreadsheet that
Scary.
it will seem scary, but it's got purpose.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm going to slide that over.
It's only 32 million.
Yeah. Here, let me do this. Okay, I'm just gonna go to the top real quick and zoom in and just kind of show everybody. I'll zoom in a little bit more so that the screen back there, the camera can pick it up. All right, so this is a planning level document at this point. This does not have engineered estimates yet. We have enough of the in-house project costs that we can do what we normally do in-house. That's fine. Those are ready to go now. Those are strategic things that we can do to preserve and lower impact, lessen the impact of these water breaks. But all the engineering assumptions, Pace Engineering is reviewing this and is going to manipulate the numbers to say, hey, you're a little bit off, or this is way too high. We can lower that. Whatever. They're going to put input in there. So as you can see, I've got not that it's necessary, but I got district, fiscal year, and calendar year. Because it's in a fiscal year doesn't mean it's in a certain calendar year. So if we're talking summers, seasons, which calendar year are we talking about?
Right.
Because
And we
it's
also cover your explanation of critical fail for the various valves.
Yeah. So for the fiscal 25-26 year, that's basically this fiscal year. We've got valve replacements. Now this can slide and push out. We can always push these into the out years. But what we've identified are some isolation valves. When I say valves, I mean isolation valves. So we have some larger ones, Happy Valley Road. I'm sure those folks would love to see something there functional. Hawthorne and Saddle Trail, Palm Avenue and Monte Vista, Happy Valley Road, and Des Jardins. Did I say that right? Forgive me if I got it right.
I believe
Was
so.
it Happy Valley and Flowers? All right, so we have these. I don't know why that's there. I apologize for this being in the way. That's weird. But critical and failing. And then we have some other things that we've listed as at risk. But these isolation valves, they don't work. They're stuck open. And so that's why we have the impacts we have to shut down so many connections and de-water the whole line and then recharge it. It's just time consuming. And
One of the concerns I had or I brought up to Dale was if we have to replace one, say a 16-inch valve, can it be brought to the shop? We put a new one in place, we take that one and rebuild it in the shop for the next 16-inch instead of having to buy a whole new one, if it's possible. Or if it could even be rebuilt on the spot. I'm not technically up on whether those are possible or not.
Yeah, I looked a little bit into that, and we can look further into it. But the larger valves, especially with how old they are, it's best to just replace them with new ones. But I believe you can de-gut them, put new internals in and whatnot.
And that could possibly cut it in half or even more.
Possibly, Now, I wouldn't say to count on that, but
No,
it,
but-
it is something to look at.
And at least to have until the new system comes into play and then.
Correct.
Right.
But you never know when you need it back.
And then whether we do any of these or not would be also based on the biggest impact. So
Yes.
if we have one on Happy Valley or Palm or somewhere that is affecting a third of the district, that is a priority one to replace.
And that's what we're looking at, is we're looking at the, how McVeigh said it earlier, best bang for your buck, the most efficient, what's gonna give us the lowest downtime, the less customers affected. So we're looking at all those things when we're looking at these valves.
And what can be done in-house.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I have also the environmental, so depending on where it is, it may have an environmental trigger, so we may exclude that, move on with some other ones. But for the most part, these are under California Environmental Quality Act, class 1 existing facilities, it's exempt. So I haven't seen anything yet that's going to trigger any sort of formal CEQA process, but except for filing an exemption. I also have the delivery method in-house versus, bid out. This bid date, this is going to go concurrent with other. So that's where, Dale and his team are going to identify, okay, we're going to start with over flowers and we're going to do these valves and this PRV and schedule that. And if it makes sense, they'll maybe do a larger area at that time, but they'll figure out how to minimize those impacts. But once that work is done, it's going to be useful to the district and the ratepayers. And then we have a total project cost. I want to give you an example of an 18-inch isolation valve. I have a total project cost of $65,000. This is for renting all the equipment. There's assumed overtime. It's traffic control. It's full. It's all the kitchen sink. There's nothing missing. There's nothing worse than thinking you got it and then you got to go get more and find more money. So this, if anything, we can come in low, especially if we get things done fast and we're efficient. So we have a total estimated cost for each of these, and they range from 65, 50, 50, 80, 32. Some of these other PRVs, they're 115,000, 45, 42, 42. Then we have another one that we're not looking at technically yet. We gotta think about it a little bit more, but it's the one on Cloverdale. That one can have a pretty large global impact, benefit if it can be done. However, that's gonna take a lot of thinking because this is it's gonna be very deep, very large. It's gonna need a crane. It's gonna need a lot of dewatering, a lot of things. So we have a design only kind of an estimate for 125,000, and that PRV, that is huge, is about 1.2 million total project. That's with soft costs,
Wow.
like engineering.
Yeah.
Man,
That's not
42
small.
inch.
Now, just to speak on that a little bit, that's, we've been talking about it and I've been thinking about it from a technical standpoint, and putting in that 42-inch PRV doesn't make the most sense for us. That being, I think we can get putting in smaller PRVs at specific targeted locations that will give us just as good benefits as per se that one. Plus, if we put that one in, we would have to look at the entire district because that's essentially the entry of all of our water. So it would affect all the zones. Whereas we could put in smaller ones at a much cheaper price, a lot faster, and affect those zones efficiently to give us the best
ones you were
results.
talking about yesterday
Yeah.
that are historically higher pressure zones already.
Yes.
And so they're more prone to the breaks. So we would focus first on those kind of things. And you
Yes.
mentioned that if we did the 42-inch somehow, that we would have to watch our pressure in other areas because it
Yes.
could reduce down to a point where an ag
It would-
customer
That's
might not have enough pressure for what they want to do.
it would affect all the other zones per
Yeah.
se. Whereas if we put one 8-inch or 10-inch in that costs a quarter of the price, even less than that, you could hit an entire zone of say, whatever it is, 200 customers
Right.
versus, and then you can just isolate that one zone and bring the pressure down, which will prolong the life of the entire system. in that zone and we could hit those points
So would you
specifically.
do a PRV for a segment and a zone and then possibly isolation valves also within that zone?
Yeah, and we can look at that. They're also introducing more isolation valves, doing them while we do a PRV for minimal downtime and getting the most done efficiently.
Good.
And I'm gonna shoot over to the far side of this spreadsheet. We are looking at alternatives. So one alternative for the bundle of these projects is to bundle it into a distribution package. You know, we're doing the zone, like $3.5 million of the north zone. And so that could be a standalone grant. It's not recommended because it's gonna take some time and we have an immediate need now. But this is a small project. It's considered maintenance according to the grant agencies. This is more of a maintenance thing than it is a capital project. So that is another reason why, you know, we were looking so closely at doing this in-house. Now, affordability, we have a column here for affordable via rates. And what I mean by rates is that project fee. So if we say that the total here, excluding this one here, these are all 521,000. And that's, you know, that's a conservative estimate. Hopefully it's going to be less, but let's say the board is looking at a project fee for the 521,000 and they want to amortize it out. You know, I think we came up with, it was $1.75, I think, I don't remember what it is, but there's ways we can make it small. And it's not like, hey, we're gonna hit you with, you know, 20 bucks
We'll talk about that.
for
Yeah.
6 months, you know.
We'll come into that when we
Yeah.
get some of the financial review.
But we can do this with a project fee. Now, some of these other ones, these larger ones, I'm just gonna shoot over to like 2.85. I mean, these are not affordable. External funding like grant funds are required, you know, 80% chunk thrown at it with federal money, that kind of stuff. So we have a column for how we identify that. And then we have, so this is drinking water state revolving fund. The administrator is the state water board. It's a loan. The type of it is a loan plus possible principal and forgiveness. So it's like grant like. So you can qualify for forgiveness, loan forgiveness. That's again something I wouldn't count on. Typical match is 20%. Match structure, it has a loan and principal forgiveness, high levels of forgiveness, so it's grant-like, can approach 100% funding in strong cases. So I try to put some notes here to kind of help inform the process. Like there's usually a nuance to some of these grants. SAFER is 0% match. Now SAFER, when we were thinking, man, we're gonna go right after SAFER, 100% funding, we're disadvantaged, we're failing. No, nope.
Not
No,
critical.
we're not failed enough. And we don't want to be failed enough, really, but we don't meet it. And the weird thing is, I'm trying to remember the number of years, the guy that's been there said, he was here for 28 years, he's never seen a project funded by SAFER. So it's another reason why not to count on it.
It's not.
So, you know, we can still try. As I'm just going to skip down, you'll see that I'm looking at a grant application for DWSRF, and yet I have another one that's possible. So just because we, you know, go after one doesn't mean we're not going to try others. So we're going to be pretty aggressive, if you will. These other ones, they don't fit in those buckets, so we can't go after it. They'll just laugh at us. So we are looking at all possible, you know, methods. And so as a grant writer, you're already framing the project. It's just tweaking it for the next agency. So it really doesn't take that much effort, in my opinion. But there are going to be some certain nuances and word trimming and so many characters and rules. But anyway, just to go over to finish these columns here. Emergency compliance funding. So this is case by case, often low or no match. Disadvantage is 0% match, and it's for failing systems, compliance issues, urgent, not long-term planning. So it's like we need it now. We cannot serve our community if we don't. USDA, this is another, you know, actually it's a really good one. Rural development, it's loan required, grant depends on median home income and rates versus affordability, so you gotta do a whole assessment on that. And then for the disadvantage, it can be 75% grant, 25% loan, and it's a workhorse for big capital.
Yeah.
Prop base, so prop one is, this one's typically 20 to 50% match. Disadvantage is 0 to 10%. Prop 68, 20 to 50, disadvantage 0%. And then I put in the miscellaneous column, if we decide to do a project that somehow has the county and Centerville and Idaho and, like a regional project, you have a column for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So there, maybe there's an intertie you can do with Anderson and Reading and do the 3, and that might be a good project to try. And EPA, so the BIL and IIJA, I forget what that one stands for, infrastructure or something, but many require 10 to 20% match. Disadvantage is 0% match with 100% federal share, especially through EPA, BIL. So, but those are like the federal, like the main ones. And then I have another column here. I still need to add something because when you're talking about a treatment plant, Centerville's going to have a piece of that too because they're benefiting from it. Now, obviously, Centerville's not going to help with the distribution over Flowers, but the treatment plant, we're going to put a column where it's going to show Centerville match, and it'll lower the match for the district here. So this is still a work in progress. I have those notes. Pretty transparent about my crazy mental notes here, but they're all right here, and you guys can chew on me all you want on some of that. But anyway, I got some notes and miscellaneous to-dos. So this is just taking things and putting it in an organized structure so that everyone knows what the district is doing about the breaks, about the infrastructure. We're not sitting idly by. We're actually, asking a lot of questions of our consultants, neighbors, the worms, basically the regional water districts. And so as we get into some of these larger projects and the out years, I'm gonna call them, like next year, we have planning for, did I label it? Oh, I did, I put planning on this side. So it's bid build for that PRV, that large one. It doesn't sound like we're gonna do that. That's probably gonna be bundled into something, but you got to plan you have to have a plan, you have to have a design, you have to do construct. So planning, whether it's an assessment, the planning, I'm also going to talk about environmental. So there's going to be some CEQA filings that the consultants can do to make sure that we're staying compliant, and we're putting that as part of our board reports that this is categorically exempt, or maybe there's a study needed. But the whole point is to organize that so that we know steps. So if we learn that the treatment plant's going to require an environmental assessment, now we just pushed out design, we got to do the EA, and then the design, then the construct. So this will kind of be a living document, and will as we learn more. But we are looking at distribution renewal. So let's say we're going to do 4 zones. This will be the first zone that we're going to kind of plan and design. The storage expansion over at the treatment plant, that's the storage tank, right? So we're going to be replacing that. And there's some assessments that we have that kind of show the condition of that and why it's required. And so we need to put a plan together now. So we're going to finish that planning. Treatment plant replacement, of course, there's going to be we have a preliminary engineer's design report. And so we may jump right into a design after we get the environmental clearance. But if we have to do a full-blown engineer's design report, it just depends on the agency if they require it or not. But the next year would be the design of the distribution, say zone 1. Maybe this year we could also do the planning for zone 2, and just kind of stagger the construction projects. Again, we have to look at project fees and what can the ratepayers afford, and also go aggressively at those 100% funded programs. And when those don't happen, we need to go to that plan B of the financing route. Water treatment plant or design, and then the next year is just basically construction of the same, and then phase 2 construction of the distribution. So just a draft. You know, I do have a more simple version of this. It's super simple, but basically you got your PRVs and your valves. This is your distribution, treatment plant, and storage tank, and then some of these will drop off, you know, in the years. But the internal document is going to be pretty comprehensive. There's going to be more information added to it. But if there's any question about what is needed, or if somebody has ideas of things that we've missed, you know, let Dale know so that can be considered. This is the process. We want to come up with a really good plan, because once we get that plan, we want to stick to it, because it's transparency. It's also making sure that the rates that are adopted, you know, stay funded, you know, affordable, I should say. So that's all I have on the capital. You know, at this point, this will still continue to, whether we slide some of those to the next year because maybe we missed the season, we may do a phase, but still that bundle of the in-house will still be one project, and then that should have a project fee.
We should identify which ones we're gonna do in year 1, year 2,
Yeah.
so that they go into the whole justification for the Prop 218.
Yes.
So it's identified, this is what this money is for.
I have a question. Can you go back to not the simple tab, the other one?
Yeah.
When we're looking at, let me scroll down. Okay, so when I was talking about 26, 27, the distribution, renewal, planning, environmental, and it has, you know, 750,000. And then you go down to 27, 28, and it's distribution, renewal, design. So if you were to take everything for the distribution renewal, it'd be adding the 750,000, the 1.2 million, the 3.5 million. So if we were like to add those up in total, because you're just saying the planning phase is going to cost $750,000 in that project, and that's what's expected to be incurred in that year.
Yeah, so these are the fees. Yeah, so the totals are down here. So if the district does move forward with those, you're looking at 2.85. Now over on this side, that's the total project cost.
But
Now
that's
the
just
district share would be about 456,000.
But that's for just the distribution renewal. So like if,
Correct.
because there's
Yeah.
different categories. So if you were to add up
Yeah, that's
everything
just
within,
750.
so if we add up everything within distribution renewal, it'd be the 750. Then it would be in the design phase, the 1.2, and then it would be in the construction phase 1, the 3.5, then construction phase 2, 3.5. Is that right? So, okay.
Yeah.
So, okay.
We have to pay prevailing wage for it.
Right. So I just trying to,
Yeah, I see.
like trying to look at the total cost for just the
Yeah,
distribution
so
renewal,
that'll
the
be-
total cost for just the storage expansion. Instead of looking at it by year, it's like, okay, for this whole project,
Yeah.
this is the cost between
Yeah.
planning and execution.
Yeah, and so we'd be looking at something like, let's just say like 120 and 144, you know, million. That would be the district share.
Okay, so it might be interesting to add up the totals and then the district share for the total project and
From beginning
to
to,
beginning to
Yes.
end, not just spread out over years.
you get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What are we looking at a length of time to recapture the project fees then?
So for something like
Let's say that year 1 of the PRV and the isolation.
that would be more of a short-term type of thing to just to kind of knock them out. But these other ones, you really got to amortize them. So I just was
Yes.
going, we have 32 million in total if we did everything that we're looking at least right now. But the match was only 5.6 million. Then you take that and you amortize it 20 years,
20.
say, you know, for like a useful
We
life of a
probably
project.
amortize it over 30, which we currently have on the water treatment plant.
is that
Yeah.
too long
No,
of a period of time?
Well,
I think with the
depends on what
C900,
the-
I think that those will last,
Okay.
say 50 years.
Yeah, the pipe nowadays is estimated a minimum of 50 years.
Oh, okay.
right.
In good conditions, that's not.
And we also have to look at the affordability aspect for the
Right.
customer. And a 20-year versus a 30,
Right.
you know, right now
Right.
we're paying $755 per
Per
customer
customer.
just on to
Filter plant.
Filter plant loans.
Once at one of my airports I managed, we did a $6 million hangar project, and the payment was $279,000 a year, one payment each year.
Right.
But because it was a revenue generating project, we were able to pay it off, double and triple our payments. We saved hundreds of thousands on interest. You could
Sure.
early pay it. So, but to amortize it, soften it, because
Right.
I would think you want to do that when you're stacking project fees and just kind of keep as, as low as possible. But there could be ways to adjust.
One of the other things to take into consideration is that 5.6 or whatever would not be complete in all of ours. Any water treatment, storage tank, Centerville pays their share.
I didn't break that
So
part
that
out.
would be broken down
lower.
and reduce it.
And all of the items on there aren't per se going to be a must. This is just being
Right, that 32 includes that 42-inch PRV,
Right.
which
that
we're
we
probably
might
not
not
gonna do.
do, and that drops it, 1.2 million right there.
There were a couple other things we talked about in there that could drop it
Yeah.
also.
Yeah,
So there's going to be more, this is like the first stab at it, so
Right.
that the community can see that the district is being proactive, we're thinking about this. It's not just go out and do.
right.
There's a strategy, and so I think Dale will kind of come up with more of a precise timing on some of these, and we're also going to task Pace to help kind of value engineer, like, let's say it's 9 million for the treatment plant. Well, is there any way we can kind of change materials to, bring it down to 7.5?
I'd always like to do that storage tank at the same time.
Right.
And timing for even the isolation valve, the PRV, or the water treatment is going to be important. We have to have these projects done during the fall, winter.
Yeah, we'll have all of it timed out, and as I was saying earlier, the most cost effective, the most efficient is what we're looking at, and we want to be transparent in the entire process. So if there is any questions or concerns, we can address those right at the beginning.
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot of dialogue with the agencies. Now, something I didn't mention in the district yet that I've done at other places is if you design your project ahead of time, so you self-fund something and you shovel ready, you may be first out the gate to get
Yes.
grant. Or end of the year dump funds, hey, these projects didn't happen, we got money to spend, who's ready?
Right.
So there could be a strategy there too. But that I was comfortable doing in a different industry because I knew it and it worked every time. Here, I'll see if that will happen. And if there is a case out there, a candidate project, where say this district has 120,000 and oh my gosh, that's how much it costs to do the design on this thing.
Perfect.
We could be shovel ready with one. So that could be a strategy. So just want to kind of present all options and let the board decide.
Right. Good, thank you, Jim. Any
Thank you,
questions? Anybody? Everybody fairly well
Can
understanding?
we get a copy of that?
Yeah, I sent it to Dale.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So we really want to identify for this Prop 13 process, what project we want to try to fund. If we're self-funding or doing however we're doing it, then we have to figure out what the costs are for the customer, the length of time, the work to fund those things. Next on the agenda, it says financial review panel. I thought that was going to be more for the finance committee. I wasn't
It
sure what
is,
you
yeah.
wanted
It
to
just
cover
wanted
here.
to, yeah, I just added it just in case we wanted to touch on the finances at all.
Okay, anybody have any questions on the current
Maybe
finances?
that's when you-
Yeah.
Finance committee is going to be meeting on the 6th and the 8th.
Okay.
One thing, I'll bring up, but Sarah's the one who knows. Last time we used, for the financial reports, we used the activity report. Is that better than the profit and loss or the income statement or what?
Activity?
Activity versus budget to actual?
I wouldn't use the budget to actual, I would
Yeah.
use the
Okay.
actual figures, and we can't look at, most recent audit, we don't have
It's
really,
not finished.
yeah,
Right.
so I can't use audited figures.
No,
But I did, this is the spreadsheet that I did email everybody. Here's a copy. And then the first page that's loose, I broke out, because this is just condensed down. I broke out the income a little bit
Okay.
further, and I need to probably do this with the expenses, but, and this is, I don't think it's very useful yet, because everything's skewed. I feel like if I'm just looking like just at the income, like the base rate charge, so the total, the fiscal year of June 23 was 1.5 million. Then next year it jumped to 1.9, so it's a 26% increase. And then the next year it dropped down by 15%, by 300,000. So I don't, without diving in and using kind of my audit brain, I can't figure out why these numbers are all over the
Are
place.
capital projects included?
This is just
as
base
revenue
rate
share?
charge.
This is
Oh,
just,
base
This is
rate.
just
Oh,
rate
okay.
rate.
Yeah, so that should
Base
be.
rate.
Yeah, so when I'm looking at all these
Oh, yeah.
things, it's like, I can't figure, nothing is
Huh.
making sense, and it could be how
Yeah,
different things
yeah.
were posted, and
And I think part of it was during COVID and people didn't pay because there was nothing we could do about it.
but this is after COVID. This
Was
is
it
gonna
after
be,
COVID?
this is
yeah,
gonna
some of it
be,
was-
yeah,
Okay.
the numbers I got from Dale were from the QuickBooks, and the one that we have is gonna be July 22 to June 23, so those
Though
3 years.
it is
right?
possible that they might be skewed just because when we transferred to QuickBooks
Oh,
and we've had different bookkeepers and.
Right, so things, I think, are probably being posted in different categories.
Yes,
Yeah, that was.
And so I
that's
can't,
definitely possible.
I can't say looking at these is as useful as I was hoping. I could look at it and say, hey, this is where it's going. I
Yeah,
can
I
see
can
that
agree
the
with
rate,
that.
you know, the last rate study we did, and the rates went up 1.8%. Here's the 1.8%.
Right,
And then, you know,
Right.
you can't even do it with the base rate, which should be fairly simple to
should
do.
be simple.
We should be able to
Should
back
be.
into it and
Yeah.
come up with an estimate.
And, you know, that's something that we're addressing now, so.
So I was hoping this would be more
Yeah.
useful than when I
Sarah,
started
you're-
really looking at it.
You're exactly right.
Yes,
So,
And Jim, Sarah's a certified public accountant, so.
I used to do
Thanks for helping.
audits of water districts for Centerville and Waverville and Shasta. and
oh,
everything.
nice,
So,
in Centerville,
yeah,
yeah.
so, yeah.
Welcome
so
to
I'm
Clear
impressed,
Creek.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
It's fun, isn't it?
you know,
But
kind of when I
it is
started audit, as I
interesting
looked at
to see
expectations,
year
and I
over
can't
year the increase.
Mhm.
come up with that, you know?
So we can
Yeah,
use a lot of
it
that
just jumps out at you.
to
Yeah.
calculate.
Mhm.
So I kind of was just trying to look at revenue a bit closer, and even where I'm looking at the revenue from taxes, which is the 1,500, it jumped up, you know, 15%.
15,000.
Yeah, it went up.
Number.
Right,
then it
it-
15,700
last year
right
went
here.
up 3.65%.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
So it should have an annual in that 3.5 to
Okay,
4% range.
so when we look at
should be more
23 to 24, it jumped 58,000 or 15%.
15%.
And then from 24 to 25, we saw 4%, so that's,
So what we're looking at is the possibility they don't pay out the entire amount, it's what they've collected, what the county collects.
but would there be a 15% variance in that? I don't know, it just seems like a lot, so it just was,
You're
The
right.
technical,
Hard.
yeah.
yeah. So, and the same thing with the expenses, I think how things have been categorized
Yes.
have changed quite a bit, so.
Yes.
I understand there's gonna be, you know, water purchase and things like that are gonna be variable, it's not gonna be
Yeah,
something that we
The
can,
bureau charges
look at,
what they
yeah.
charge.
but, you know, as far as utilities, I think it does have operating and maintenance in there, like repairs, so even just utilities, okay, it went up 19%, and then it went up 8%. So, like I said, I wasn't as useful as I was hoping it would be to say, you know, we should be using this instead of the
Yeah, I
CPI, using the
agree.
CTI. So I don't, any advice or
Regulatory-
do we just kind of scrap the idea that we can kind of, I was kind of hoping if we created a extremely simplified comparison to show the community why we're using higher, like than 1.8 and 1.9.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's,
That this would help support that, but I don't know if it would,
yeah.
without maybe meeting and taking out certain, you know, okay,
Did
O&M
you
or things
have
that are super
the-
variable.
I printed another one you did. This one?
So this one is this was just an expansion, like this first page was just an expansion of my income to kind of show where my variances were, but.
This was, yeah.
Some of it does look definitely like it's tracking properly. like 50,400, the insurance.
Oh, that was in the
48,000 to
original rate study.
77,000 to.
Oh, okay, I thought you.
No, I took that, Dennis had a
To
temp,
over 80,000,
so I
and that's pretty typical.
recreated it so we could
when
play
we're
with
on
the
like
figures a little bit, but.
I made this.
Regulatory fees, chemical costs.
Did you guys, I can talk about that next.
Yeah,
Okay,
we'll get to that. in
I'm
a
sorry.
second.
No, I just, yeah, I was. hoping
Yeah,
it would
I'm
be-
sorry
it would be a
about
little-
that,
No,
you
it's
know.
not, it's just financially, I don't, or
I agree.
because of the
and-
change of accounting system and
Yes.
and bookkeepers and the way things
Yes.
are posted.
And we're trying to get
Yeah,
a wrap on
I don't think
on
it
all
would be
that.
a good way to put into our justification
No,
actuals
I
at this
agree.
point.
And so there is a certain aspect of cleanup on
Yeah.
the finances
And making things
to make things a little more transparent.
recorded
Yeah.
consistently.
Yeah,
One
So-
other aspect that is gonna be part of it is, to the best of my knowledge, the current number of base rate payers is 2,657,
yes,
okay? So those are the ones, base rate payers, thank you. But we also have, so this is just sort of the billing strategy, 2,657. We also have 316 meters installed that are not active.
yes.
Okay, so if we do the math there, we're just under 3,000, okay? If we're going to change some of the billing, I don't know if we can do it for project fees, I'm not sure of the legalities of it just yet, but if we did a fee for $2 or $3 and whatever the board approves, we're just gonna make recommendations. We can include that in these, okay? It will soften the effect to the others, and it's standard practice that a lot of those fees to maintain the system for when they want to attach to it, okay? So, $2, $3, $4, I don't know if we can do project fees or not, but this is something we should really look at. The other thing that I think finance is gonna look at is that list of all the other fees, the capacity fees, the reconnect fees,
Yep.
all those things, those all need to be addressed too.
Yeah, they do.
And that'll be put into the Prop 218, so that's another aspect that we have to work on,
Right.
okay? And then we'll turn some time over to you, Dale, to talk about some of the water rates and some of the things from Bella Vista and whatnot,
Right,
okay?
thank you, Director. I'm sorry, what?
You need me?
Well, you go home, we'll take care of her.
Okay.
She's like, no, no. Yeah, so, myself and Mark helped me out with the chart here that we got. And what it is it's, base rates for all of the, most all of the districts and community services, within Shasta County. Now, it has every size of meter label that has the provider. It has their base rate per the size of the meter. And then it has ours as well here at the bottom highlighted in blue. So currently with all fees and whatnot, our base rate is $70.12. Now,
That includes the 1081.
yes, that includes the 1081. So coming up, our filter plant loan will be paid off, so that's gonna drop off. So that'll drop the rate $7.55.
When is that?
There's two components to it. The bulk of it should drop off by the end of this year. When they did the filter plant, they had a
Yeah.
basic loan to start with, and then they found out that some costs had gone up and they pulled an additional 400,000 plus,
You
and
know,
that's gonna be another year to pay
I
that off.
thought that, the audit showed it was gonna go longer, maybe not.
No, that would have been the Win Act repayment,
When it,
but on the filter plant loan, we're coming up on the 29th anniversary. And according to my research, the state may be asking us to pay that last year since we have it in a restricted reserve account.
which we already have the money.
Right? The money's sitting there, it's in a CD, it's earned an additional
Oh,
$60,000,
Yes.
okay, which the board will then determine where it goes into a modernization or maybe one of those project fees or something. And we have another 18 of the car fire that was put in the CD.
18,000, yes.
Okay, so we were looking at that at the planning steering yesterday. But go ahead with your,
Thank you, Jim. Excellent job.
Yeah, you bet.
Nice meeting you,
Yeah,
Tyler.
sure.
So going back, so our current rate is $70.12.
now is that current or is that the one that starts July 1?
I believe that's current.
I thought it was 69.30.
Then maybe it is July 1.
I think that's July 1.
Now, the thing is our base rate is higher than most all districts for 5/8 meter and 3/4 inch meter. But what I want you to look at here is we have the same base rate for all meter sizes, all the way up to even 10-inch meters, which we don't have, but just as an example. Now, I'm just gonna pull a random one here. If you go to Chico, Cal Water, for a 2-inch meter, they're charging $218.34 a month. That's just for the base rate, mind you.
Yeah.
And we still only charge $70. So that is one of the great benefits of being here at Clear Creek. Now, if you go down the list here to the M&I usage rates by agencies, this is per HCF, 100 cubic feet. Just an example, we're charging 56 cents per HCF, which is by far the lowest in the entire county. If you look at the next lowest, that would be Bella Vista, and theirs is $1. So
It's actually currently 81 cents in their Prop 218. They're going through.
They're going to
proposing it
$1.
to $1. Aren't they proposing a 7% increase annually after that?
yes, it's from what I understand, I could be wrong, but I believe it's a 7% increase every year for 5 years after that. Now, as I was saying, the 755 will be coming off, which will lower our base rate. Something that we've been proposing and thinking about is collecting fees for expansion and modernization for reserves. So when we do have failures or replacing, upgrading, if you will, as I was talking earlier, the system's old, it's aging infrastructure, things are gonna be going left and right, and they will need to be replaced. So I was proposing a $3 increase per month to the base rate for the water treatment plant, and a $3 a month to the water distribution system. With those included, our base rate would be $68.57, so it would actually be less than what it is now. And we would be building reserves and prolonging the life of the system.
Okay, but then we have to do the math, because we have to then figure, are we gonna charge all 2,900 some?
Yes, because
Active and inactive?
yes, because
Okay,
it would
because
be
that,
going to capital improvement.
so if we do that math, is that gonna be enough to cover some of the projects that are replacements in-house?
It will, but I haven't gone as far to find out how long it would take to cover. But it
Right.
would be building our reserves, which is, right now, we don't really have reserves.
So
Emergency
if we go with those numbers being accurate, we're at 2,973 paying customers.
Paying customers.
That includes customers who have 1 meter but 2 homes or 3 homes and they're paying double or triple the base rate.
Correct.
So, and if we do that and we do it times 3 for $3 a month, well, don't do that to me. 2,973 times 3 equals times 12. You're looking at $107,000 a year. If we have 100% collection and we're running around 92%.
And these numbers, realistically, if we did do that, your base rate would still be lower than what it is today, while we build reserves to prolong the life and give us, the best.
And that's water treatment. So is that gonna cover the rebuilding and modernization of the water treatment plant? We know we've got train 6 and train 4 virtually failing.
Well, there's another element to this.
Okay.
So this is just a start, and we can figure that out,
Okay.
amortize more down the road if we decide to do that, because we are gonna come back to Prop 218 in a couple of years versus the 5 we're thinking.
Well, yeah, that Terry, in our last meeting, since you weren't here, we discussed the possibility of doing a Prop 218 every 2 years to be more in line with current costs of things.
Yeah, I read that in there, so.
Okay, good.
And then to this element here, so that would be a total of $6 a month extra. That would be building our reserves for water treatment and water distribution. And then also I want you to look at our M&I usage rates at 56 cents. Even if this, I'm not saying this is what we're gonna do, but even if we did 85 cents per HCF, we would still be the lowest in the region. And that money would be used to build our reserves and keep the system operating at top tier and producing the best quality water we can. Now, those can be
85, so you look at
Yes.
a 29-cent,
increase on usage. Now, just an
which
example,
would generate about $350,000 a year additional income.
correct,
And that would be on the water rate, which could be used towards repairing Train 6,
yes,
or also getting set up for when we apply for the grant/loan to
Yes.
rebuild the water treatment plant.
so that we have
And
that
could be
20%.
put in for the restricted reserve account,
Absolutely.
possibly.
And just an example, if we did do this, even with an average bill of, let's say, 15 HCF for average family, it's actually 92 cents less.
Once that 755 drops off.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then let's say you used a ton of water, let's say you used 30 HCF, your bill is only gonna be $2 more.
And for
with
the
that-
majority of customers, that works real well.
Yes,
There will be some higher use, like myself, some of the ag customers, where I can use 400 in a month.
exactly.
Okay?
And that's the best part of it, I guess, is we wouldn't be changing the base rates with a larger meter size. Now, that's something we can talk about, but this is just keeping the base rates for all meter sizes, dropping the 755, introducing the $6 increase to cover our reserves, and the slight increase on the M&I usage rate.
So there would not be a factor in there for the administrative facilities to
No,
build a reserve then.
no, that's a good point, but if you include the increased rate to the 85 cents as being proposed, that $353,000 some of that could be used if need be.
Okay.
Or we introduce
A
another
small
reserve
amount,
account.
maybe
Yes,
25 cents.
25 cents a month. Yeah, so that it gradually builds up over the course
Absolutely.
of time, and then we don't have to have an assessment or a special raise to redo the roof here, which at some point will need to be redone, or replacing the AC units, or even the sheds and whatnot.
Well, Scott,
Yeah.
wouldn't that be part of the maintenance,
The O&M,
your depreciation?
It's
and
currently not
maintenance
being-
and
it's
all
not
that?
being collected,
Oh,
anything in O&M. So we'd have to create something.
what he's saying is isn't that included in the catch-all, right?
Yeah.
Not that I'm aware of.
We
When
had,
we were doing budgeting, we did not budget anything in
Well, see,
for
that's
that.
gotta be part of your regular budget.
Yeah.
It's not an
Correct.
assessment or anything.
No. But then the $3 for each distribution of water treatment are fees that we would be charging if we do it. And we would identify the purposes. So if we did the 20 or 25 cents, we would identify what the purpose is of that, put it in its own, either O&M account for the administrative facilities.
Yeah, one thing about Proposition 218, you can't put future cost in there. I mean,
I can build
you
reserves.
can't put future projects like we think we're gonna do so-and-so in, like 6 years. or
I
2 years.
understand that.
Hence
It
the,
can't be, it's gotta be part of your financial, it's already, the board's approved it, it's a
Yes.
project on the schedule. You can't put.
Or
You can't project
expansion
it.
modernization.
you can't forecast it and forecast and project that and put that into the Prop 218.
Right.
And that's not what we're proposing here. What we're proposing is that we're building reserves for emergencies and things. We're not proposing, hey, we're going to squirrel this money away and build a brand new treatment plant with it. You know, we got to get 5 million or whatever that is. This is so that
Right.
we're comfortable and we can pay for things as we need them to keep.
One of the things we were
district
talking
operating
about
properly.
yesterday was creating an operational reserve for both the water treatment and the distribution, but capping it at 50,000, because that comes right off of the budget. And then if they overspend because of emergency, you have 50,000 you can dig into. And then the other aspect of that would be an expansion and modernization reserve, which would be for rebuilding the water treatment plant or PRVs or whatever else that was. So if we overspend the 50,000 because of some emergency, you can draw from the expansion modernization. But if that account, that operational reserve for water treatment goes beyond 50,000, that excess goes into the expansion modernization so that we can build that back up to a point. And we'll be discussing possible goals for what the level of reserves should be, whether it should be 500,000, 1.2 million over the course of many years. Okay, so that's kind of what we're looking at, how to do some of the long-term funding at as minimum impact to the customers if we can do that.
Absolutely.
But one of the things that's gonna come up is we charged them last time $1 a month for a loan.
Right.
Never saw anything from that. don't know
But it
what-
was supposed to be for a grant loan for the backwash pond. And we got that 6 point
That was for the,
water treatment plant.
no, that was
Really?
for the water lines.
There was several things that was,
Okay, if you can dig that up.
that was for,
That state loan, that $1
Yeah, that
on the
state
bill.
loan.
The future monthly loan was $1,
Right,
and it
that was
says
for.
backwash pond lining, 6,000.
Yeah,
Line
so that was part of the
replacement,
backwash pond.
400 new meters, estimated debt repayment over 30 years.
did you do that?
The backwash pond, yes.
Yes.
What
And the
about- what
meters,
about the
they've done
6,000
that
now?
through an ARPA.
What about the
Yep.
6,000 foot line replacement?
I don't know, we've done an awful lot of it. I don't know if it's been a full 6,000. We'd have to check with Morgan on that. But every time we've done a break, they've been trying to do at least 20-foot sections at a time. If you get rid of the AC pipe and go to that C900.
So it'd be interesting is, what you're saying is, this was, what was approved of was 32,000 annual fees were collected
Right.
for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the accounting or the budgeting, was
Mhm.
that tracked on, that was spent for what it was
Probably
designated
not.
for?
Yeah,
My guess is it probably not, but I do know that a lot of the money went to the backwash pond. And we still have pond one, is it, the bottom pond that has
Yes.
the reeds and everything in, and we're gonna need money to fix that up. We are,
but that's gonna be brought up, one
and I
day.
agree, and it should be brought up.
Yeah.
Okay.
And are we gonna still collect that?
I think that's something for us to think about, discuss, and then make recommendations to the full board.
Yeah.
Maybe we wanna drop it.
And
Maybe we want to drop it or identify it into the administrative facilities and.
Well,
cut
yeah,
it,
if you're
you know.
direct, if you're gonna try and collect another $3 and $4 a month for, a slush fund
But I
down
don't
the
want to call it,
road.
no, we want in the rate rationale what it's for. We are gonna do these isolation valves in year one and a PRV, and in year two, we're gonna do this.
And then
we
if we
project in
don't
the
do
future.
if we don't do an isolation valve in those first years, And when we go back for 218 the second year,
Mhm.
that's gonna be brought up and they're
Oh, and
gonna
it should be.
really nail
Sure.
us.
And that,
So-
that means the board has to be accountable to do these projects.
Where are you gonna come up with the extra money to do those? Because you're not gonna make enough money.
That's what we're talking about now.
You're not gonna, you do $300 or $400 a month, you're not gonna make enough to do, unless you do like one a year or something maybe, then you could come up with it.
And,
But
and that's the deal is we can't come to the community and ask for an extra $20 a month per person. So what we're trying to do is build our reserves as best as we can without having this major shock on the customer.
Right,
Now, if a customer comes and says, hey, we've been paying an extra $6 a month and you didn't get your goals done, the money would still be within the reserve accounts and that it will be brought up to the board, which the community has the right to see. So the money would still be spent on those items.
right. I agree with all of that. but,
Yeah,
We've been charging $1 for this
Sure.
loan, and that was the big thing, is we're gonna get this loan, we're gonna replace water lines,
Yeah,
and
And
we
we
didn't.
didn't qualify for the loan.
Right, but-
We were broke at the time.
and we still are collecting that dollar, and
you shouldn't have collected that.
yeah,
Yeah.
we can,
Well, but it is, one of the criteria was the backwash ponds, which
well,
we
that was
have.
one of the criteria.
I understand that,
So,
but it's been the most expensive criteria because we're about to wrap up and the state still owes us a bunch of money on the reimbursement aspect.
how many people in this community know about the backwash pond or give a crap?
Whether they
About
care or not, they should know because it's on the website, it's on the Facebook page.
right.
We talk about it at the board meeting, so Caitlin's video goes out. I can't knock on everybady's door and say, hey,
No,
did
but
you know this is
they're gonna look
happening?
at that, they're gonna look at that dollar and say, what does that do for me?
That, that
It
backwash,
gained you 8 million?
Mhm.
It gained us 6.8 million worth of work that we didn't have to charge the customers.
That's,
I thought the original thing was backwash recycle. And was a state loan. And I thought that was for one of the tubes we're gonna.
No, it's the actual backwash ponds. They were dirt and they were hard to clean.
Right.
And so they've been cleaned out all. A lot of the debris, the muck was set back here until it dried and then disposed of properly. And it's all been concreted in, all new sensors and
Right.
whatever was necessary.
Do we recycle the water somewhere?
Yes, we do.
Yep.
Okay,
so
there's still a
Yes.
certain water loss.
Yeah, there's water loss contributed, but
So
No.
could someone in the district go and say, okay, the 32,520 a year, let's look at what was actually collected over the 5 years
Yes.
since it
Now,
was done.
remember that we're only collecting at
Right,
about a 90,
right, so
92%.
Get it close,
yeah,
28,000.
then look at what it was designated for and be able to identify where it went and then say,
I
hey,
think we can do that.
yeah,
And
and
I
that's
think
what
that
I was
would be
gonna.
We may not be able to
say, Terry.
identify everything, but I
Right.
think we can
Enough.
identify.
Yeah, the
enough.
money's,
Yeah.
if the money was not spent, it's there,
So-
and we'll find it,
Right.
So,
and we can.
to your point,
But
Terry,
I understand completely.
to your
Yeah.
point, Terry, I think maybe it should come off the bill. Okay, because the backwash pond is ramping up. Except there is a portion of it, that pond one, that even the grant, we've been using part of the contingency fund to pay the interest. Because we had to
So,
borrow money from our CAC to pay the contractors before the state reimbursed.
So could be a loan component, you could identify some of the costs to allocate this to, and let's say there's 30,000 left that wasn't used, that was set aside
Sure.
for this, maybe
And
that
that's
needs
what
to
we're
go.
hoping.
Yes, and that's
Maybe-
kind of what we're looking at.
It could go, because we were talking about one of the grants required you to have enough seed money almost in
Yep.
an account to get your
Yes.
loan or the grant.
Yes,
Maybe it could get funneled into that and specifically identified for all the
Mhm.
customers, say, hey, we recognize that you've been paying this is what we did with it, we have this left, and we created this account.
we're gonna have a
Right.
restricted reserve account when we rebuild the water treatment plant. And it's gonna require $240,000, and we're gonna collect it gradually over the
but I
course of
don't think
time.
we should keep that one in there I think we should
Absolutely not.
do it into the 3 or 4, whatever.
Yeah,
All
and
right.
just something that I want to say to that is that $1 that happened before me.
Oh, I know.
And
Oh, yeah.
if I
I
wouldn't
know
be
that.
collecting any money that I wasn't going to use to benefit the community.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Does that
I
come
just
up
wanna say that.
when that happened? Is this really legal to collect for something that we don't even know for sure what we're gonna be doing?
Sure.
I asked that question
Yeah, I
before I
know.
was on the board.
And
It's
that's
like,
the,
hold on.
Yeah,
the good
And
part about
probably-
the reserves.
Cedric sold it by, we're gonna have to have a reserve amount of money to qualify for it.
Yeah.
That's how he sold it.
Yeah,
And he was right to a certain extent.
yeah.
So,
The danger is there could be a lawsuit, or a lawsuit challenging that.
The legality of it,
Well,
or whether it was
yeah,
spent for the intended purpose. I agree, but I think we can probably prove that it was.
Correct.
And the fact that if, we would have to ask you to get projected costs to do the final work on Pond 1,
Right.
and maybe we keep it in and identify in the rate rationale that it's specifically to repair that, and when that is done,
Mhm.
it drops off the bill. Maybe something like that, so that we get these projects.
Or yeah, we find out how much it is and what it was used for, and if there's any that was not used, we can use that for some of the projects that we're talking about
Right.
now.
Okay.
But it will be
What are-
used for the
We still need
community.
to figure out how to fund, and to your point, you're right. $100,000 collected for $3 will only do one or maybe
Sure.
2 isolation valves.
You're right.
So we have to figure out where the funds come from. Now, possibly Wind River throws us, some money for something, for a small one or something.
And that's what
Um,
we're hoping for, is for
A
grants.
change in the water rate, though, might also be one of the ways of funding a few of those things. If we went with his proposal, and we picked up an extra 340,000, do we use it for infrastructure and distribution? Do we use it for strictly water treatment, as in trains 4 and 6, to rebuild them? Do we set it aside as part of the restricted reserve account for when we get the grant to rebuild the water treatment plant? Pace came out with 3 proposals, the 8, the 10, and the 12 million marks. And we know they've gone up probably by 12% or more by now. So we still know that there's a certain amount of money that we're gonna have to have in reserve for that. So, we have those different things we have to look at and decide, do we go with 85 cents? Is it 72 cents?
Sure.
How are we gonna fund all those things that Jim talked about that need to be done if we don't get a grant to cover some of them? And I don't wanna get a loan for that project and a loan for this project, I think that's a nightmare in bookkeeping.
what about on Jim's spreadsheet, the ones that have to kind of be done now, that they're saying are the local ones that can be done by I guess maybe having, here's the reserves, but so we need 675,000, something
It's
like
like
that.
521,000.
Okay.
Right.
To do what they're hoping to do this year, maybe next year, is putting all those valves in. Do we have the reserves to do that, or is some of
Right
that
now, no.
$3 gonna pay for that? Because is there something that needs to be a 1 year or a 2 year in the bill to
That's what we're
do
gonna have
those
to do.
failing
And that's-
infrastructure that's critical to be done within the next 12 months?
so when Jim figured those isolation valves and all
Yeah.
of that, did he figure, extra salaries on them?
Yes,
Yeah.
overtime.
Current salaries pay for them?
Yes.
So that's already in the budget to pay people to work.
According to what he was proposing on the capital improvement, I'm using this term loosely, but he padded them in the sense of they're probably not going to cost that much,
Right,
but in case that's how much it'll cost.
right. That's what I was wondering, is when he looked at those, did he take, our people, the people we're already paying for, their salary,
Oh.
added those in,
Mhm.
so we're gonna It looks like
Okay.
we're paying 2 times.
I
for it.
understand what
One's
you're
from
saying,
the project and one's from the,
What he did
for their
is,
normal salary.
so we did, yeah, he took our group and then he said, in worst case scenario, we're gonna have 2 flaggers and we're gonna have this, and he put that into it,
right.
so,
But our,
So technically, they could, those projects, and that's what would have to be brought up, is
yes.
technically, those projects, we're already paying for the staff.
correct,
Right.
And it would
in-house.
be just strictly material and,
Yes, so that
So a
component.
valve, a 16-inch valve.
yeah,
Now, I don't know what they currently cost, but I remember when Bill was interim, he was gonna talk about replacing one over here on Oak, and it was gonna be 85,000 for the valve itself. 3 months later, it was 125. Now, supply chain issues, COVID, whatever. But, I don't know what their current costs are, but you gotta figure in a lot of the other aspects, the environmental study, possibly PACE being involved in whatnot, and plus the cost of the valve.
Right.
Potential overtime, and if there is overtime, we provide a meal,
Right.
things like that. So I think, I don't know, how do you feel about the cost of a 16-inch valve?
And that's, I'm using my phone now. So I know that, for instance, a Mueller gate valve is a great product. I've used many of them, but just a ballpark is you're looking at maybe 15,000.
Just for the valve?
Yes.
Then.
So they're not.
If we
I
collected.
haven't seen a 16-inch valve that's $75,000.
Excellent. So it will cover things, but he padded it. So as to your point, can we do that? Well, if we were to collect that $3 for distribution and collected only 92%, you're looking at about $98,000. Okay, that might cover 5 valves with some overtime.
And that's when I was
Okay,
going over
that
these
might
numbers,
just
that's
be-
what I was thinking, is the best course of action to prolong the system and be the most cost effective is to do little bits at a time that we
Right.
can do.
As we have collected the money.
Yes,
So let's, for sake of discussion, it starts August 1st with the new rate.
Yep.
We collect into November, December, we have enough money, let's go ahead and do these 2 valves.
right,
Now we collect more for the next few months, and now it's March, let's do these 2 valves. And then we move forward as we collect, and it's the appropriate time of the year. Obviously, probably from April through September, we're probably not gonna be able to do that, but we'll have to put the money into the reserves and have projects identified and basically shovel
and then
ready.
that goes with, we could show the community, hey, we're taking this money, yes, it's going into our reserves, but look, we're
These are the things
producing
we're gonna
things.
do with it,
We're replacing this valve and this valve that,
and these are the approximate time
and I
frames.
think we should show the people, how much it costs to replace each one of those.
Oh, yeah.
How much did we save by using our own people?
Using the back
versus-
trailer and,
versus-
and I can talk about that right now. Some of these leaks, contractor will charge $40,000 when some of them, I'm not saying all, but we could have maybe done some of them in-house.
Yeah,
6,000 to 8,000.
Yeah, maybe 10,000. So you're saving that
oh,
much.
yeah.
What's our barrier to entry into doing more of them ourselves?
Which we're doing, and I think with my experience and what I know about water distribution and whatnot, I'm confident that we can do most all of the things within house. Now, granted, there's ones that are super deep and you gotta get an engineer. We don't have an engineer, so we couldn't do it.
8 foot deep.
Or we don't have the manpower, but
Right.
doing we could do a 16-inch valve. I'm confident.
Those are the things we save up and do.
Yeah, so
You
say
know,
that
later
costs us
on,
50,000, but
They're
then
the lower
and we
priority.
don't pay a contractor 100,000. So
Right.
save.
Yes,
And
Okay.
they need to know that.
Absolutely.
When you go out and do it, they need to know, this is what we saved by doing it in-house.
Yes.
and if we can get some grants through whoever to cover some of those things,
Mhm.
that stays in that reserve for the next years. Now, we've already funded the PRV or,
And some of the grants, when they write the grants, you can get to do in-house. You can use
Yeah.
your own
Yes.
people to do it. You have to pay them prevailing wage,
yeah,
but you can still use your own people and save money on the grants too, so.
just talking from experience. So I put in with a crew of 3 other guys in-house, a 24-inch valve. So that's what I'm saying, is it could be done, you know.
Right.
We did all the
And
excavation.
as our staff get better trained, they'll be able to do
Yes.
it. And as far as flaggers, they're already going through certification to be flaggers. So we can keep
Correct.
that in-house too,
Mhm.
instead of going through Axner or someone and paying a boatload. Do we do this for the extra money, for the water treatment, for the distribution, for maybe the
I think for the,
admin facilities?
I think for the
Yes.
capital improvements, yes.
So it would be 2,973 potential.
Now you got the ag and domestic.
No, that's everybody together.
Yeah, I
Okay.
know that.
So do you
Then
want to?
we need to split that out.
This is for the base rate charge.
This is for the-
No, this would be, these
Base rate
would be
would be the
the
same
add-ons
for
to the
everybody.
1081 for everybody.
Yeah.
So we would add $6 or $6.25,
But then we
if
would
we
remove some.
make that recommendation to the board and the board approves it.
Yeah, well, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't do it, you
Right,
know, for all of them, you know. The meter's still there, you know,
Yeah.
make them pay for
some
it.
districts, they charge everybody the full base rate. You just
Yeah,
don't
that's
pay for the
it.
water. And we've been letting these guys slide pretty
Yeah,
good.
I don't think we
And I
should.
think it's appropriate that they pay a share
Mhm.
to maintain the system in case, for when they want to
Right.
attach themselves to it. And the reason for that is they can full base rate because of the administrator and whatnot aspects.
And if they don't wanna
maintaining
pay it, they can take the meter out and then pay to have it put back
Right,
in,
and then
so.
pay a capacity. fee.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
At the next meeting, maybe we can bring to this group all the other ancillary fees, the capacity charges and all those things, and maybe we can review those at that time and see, get a comparison. And also, one of the things we should consider is most districts charge, you have someone who doesn't pay their bill, and what is it, 60 days to get a door hanger?
Yeah, and I have,
Okay,
I have some paperwork on that, I just didn't bring it to
Okay.
this meeting.
so we can take a look at possibly a $20 fee if the staff has to go and put a door hanger on it.
Yeah, would that affect the Prop 218? That wouldn't affect the Prop
Yeah.
218.
I
That
think
would
it's
be-
a policy.
Yeah, that would be
In
a
a
policy,
policy
so.
maybe.
Yeah, I think I'll bring it up.
Let's focus on the rates.
Okay,
Get
fair
that,
enough.
when that's done, then we can put the service.
Yeah, we'll look at a policy on fees and things.
Now, when we're kind of looking at this schedule, I think
Mhm.
my brain, the way I want to see it would be, this is our like all-in rate with what, one cubic or one.
One HCF,
HCF.
it's 100
Okay.
cubic feet of water.
And
That's
then
just
if
the
you
base
look
rate.
at the different, what we're trying to, like, what is our most common meter? What does the most customers have out here?
The majority are 3/4, aren't they?
Three-quarter
Three-quarter.
line.
Yeah,
Okay.
if you can get that breakdown for
Yeah,
us,
and
how
So
many
we look at-
customers are 3/4, 1
At
inch,
that,
2
so we
inch?
kind of cut out maybe the other
Mhm.
numbers when we're looking at the comparative with Bella Vista Centerville.
Sure.
And then do they have variables? So ours is up to 70.
Mhm.
What is theirs? You know, let's say the average customer uses 5 HCF.
Uh-huh.
So we would need to add the city of Reading's cost of 213 times 5 into there to say, okay, here's the average.
This is what they're
Yeah,
paying.
our average
We're only
customer
charging you
uses
this.
5. And if you're to try to compare apples to apples, so, because ours looks super high right now, right?
Absolutely.
But when you look at our, per
HCF, water
HCF,
rate, basically.
it's probably not. So can we kind of add some notes to
Sure.
not manipulate, but get these more comparing apples to apples, so when people look at
Yes.
this, like, we're being ripped off. Well, not really, because their average bill, because they're paying $3.03 per
I
HCF is
Right.
I think that's
actually,
part of that
58.
public meeting
yeah.
where we show all these
I don't know if
figures and
Yeah,
explain
yeah.
where we
Talking
are.
That's like more
Yeah, like,
breakdown. No, I
Yeah,
agree,
just to
yeah.
make it, 'cause the first thing I'm gonna say is, this is crazy, we're
Well,
paying so much.
You know, one
I
thing,
agree.
city of Reading, those are just homes. on the
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's all they
And
are.
you have to understand is that
They're not-
their base rate can be cheap because they have 31,000 connections,
Exactly.
And,
you
but
know?
they're not comparable.
But they're probably not
No,
using.
Bella Vista has over
HCF.
9,000
They're not
connections.
using.
Well, see, Bella Vista's
No,
got Bella Vista and they got Pewasego, I think.
I know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Uh,
And they, to be fully staffed, 27 employees, we have 11.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and we can't,
Bella Vista includes Simpson College, or Shasta College, and Simpson College.
I think so,
and
yeah.
Bethel.
Yeah.
Three huge.
Right. And we have the Veteran Cemetery. I go on off of the North Booster, but yeah. So that's one thing we have to show them, I think, is we have a lot fewer customers, so our base rate is divided, or the costs are divided amongst a lot fewer
Mm-hmm.
than the other districts. And so that is the reason why ours basically has to be higher. And we're not making a profit on this.
Right.
We are keeping our noses above water. And we do have the MOU coming up at the end of the year, and we have to do some calculations on our projections. And if we get the Prop 218 logged in, I think we'll have a little better stance in negotiating that and not letting them try to take it. And Mark, plug your ears. You know, so that they don't try to say, well, we want an extra $5 or $7 an hour just for, you know, a level one.
Something else, Bella Vista, that's with the treatment plant.
Yes, they have a larger treatment
The
plant.
ag doesn't get charged for the treatment plant.
No, they have raw water. Yeah. But if you go through their Prop 218, it's probably there, it's some very interesting reading because they have some modernization loans out there. They have some work projects with their project fees and things. So when you look at that base rate, it's not showing you a $14 add-on for the water treatment plant. It's not
Right.
showing you the
But ours
add-on
is
for this
the
or that.
$70 that we're putting
So
in there
when you
does
start
have
looking
our
at that and you start
fees
totaling
in
up everything before they use a drop of water, then you're gonna be
That's what I'm
surprised
saying, I
that
kinda
it's
want
really
to be
more.
Yeah,
in line
I'm
with
doing
where
the
we
math
are.
right now.
Okay, it just, when we even put together our proposed adjustment, I think it's important to do.
That we not only
comparison.
show the base rate, but all
Yeah.
those add-ons, because that's what they're paying.
Right, so currently, let's see, where are we at, 70? Let's just do that. So, and we're charging 56 cents per
HCF
HCF.
on M&I.
Let's say the average is about 15. So
Well,
that's-
in the
that's
winter
only-
time, probably November through February, it's gonna be 2 or 3.
Yes.
and then it's gonna go up, And your
So
June
our
through
lowest-
September is gonna be 18 to 20. But we do have some mobile home parks, and they don't use much water, the individual ones.
So we're
They
essentially.
all pay
gonna
the same
be-
base rate though.
So right now, if we go off of the current base rate and we use the standard, or our current M&I with a usage of 15 HCF, we're at about, give or take, $80. Now, at the new proposal, with the added to build reserves at 0.85 times 15, that's $12.75 plus 68, so we're about $80. So your bill might go up 75 cents currently. Now, if you look at, we'll use Centerville.
Okay.
Let's see, for three-quarter, 36.75. Theirs is $1.38. I think that's current. I don't know if that's after Prop 218
They
times.
haven't done a Prop 218 yet.
So theirs is $20 in usage,
Yeah.
plus,
36.75.
yeah, so they're about $60.
But this probably doesn't include any other fees that they
No.
have, right?
Exactly,
They don't
just
have
like
on
we
here
have some
our
add-ons.
other Filters. or
Yeah,
anything
so
like that.
exactly, and ours includes all of our would include all of our fees, whereas the ones you're seeing now from all the other providers, because I know for a fact that Centerville charges extra. I think if I want to remember correctly, I could be wrong. I think it's $12 extra a month per customer to build their reserves.
Yes,
And so I remember thinking in my audit days that Centerville was very high.
Yes,
So
Mhm.
I, looking at this, I said, that can't be right. If we're
Well, that's
7%,
because
yeah.
you're only looking at base
Right,
rate and not, and in ours, we included everything.
Right.
So you cut
Uh,
another
our-
1081 off of that.
Our base rate is, what's our standard base rate?
Where in your
59.31.
file?
$59.
Right.
This is our bill
Not
rate.
70, it's 59.
No, that includes the 1081. So that's all
That's what I was saying,
encompassing.
we need to compare apples to apples.
Yes, we do.
Spreadsheet.
So either we take that 1081 out
Right,
and show the 59, or we go in and add all the add-ons for the other districts.
So yeah, if we're doing
Yeah, I
that.
think we should add everything in there and
I think so,
show
yeah, the
everybody
districts.
what we
we
really
don't,
pay.
right. We don't want anybody to be surprised by
No.
saying, okay, it was $59 and then they get a bill for 77. Like, what just happened? Like, no, this is as transparent as we can be.
Yes.
And we're justifying each of these line items.
Exactly.
I think most customers will like the fact that if anything we add on goes into the full number of meters, okay, versus just the active ones.
And it was just active this last 218 round. All these, the
Fees.
$10, was it just on the active meters?
Yes. No.
It has
That's on
so
the
many-
inactive ones. They don't, that 316, they only pay 1081.
Oh, I
Yeah,
see.
they don't pay
Okay.
the base rate, they
Right,
just
right.
They don't pay the
But they
base.
are paying 1081. And then
Right.
what we decide to do for if we use the $3 and the $3, it would go.
Onto
into
them
that
also,
line.
yes.
Yeah, I don't know why everything wasn't added onto them to begin with.
I
That was
agree.
Crazy.
I
So,
agree.
yeah,
It's
they should
time
have
that we
been just
fix that.
paying that 1081.
That's one of the things we wanted to fix about the last Prop 218.
Yeah.
Along with the north booster, it's about 5,600 a year, just an electrical cost.
Right, we're
And
supposed
we
to.
gotta figure about a 1.8% increase on it. So we've been working on the numbers, and just for those customers, what is it, 6 or 7? We'll probably run them up, and it has to be part of the Prop 218. Probably an additional 2 cents per
2
HCF,
cents
okay?
per HCF, yeah.
Per HCF.
To cover their part of that.
To
extra
cover their,
$0.02.
strictly for the booster.
That's all we're trying to do is that.
Now, how old is the booster pump? Does it need maintenance? Should we be charging
Probably.
3 cents and collecting a little bit for,
I
I don't know?
haven't, yeah, I haven't got that
You see what
far
I'm
into
saying?
it.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the other part. It doesn't have to be $3 here, $3 here. It can be 4 or 2 or whatever we decide.
Okay. So just to move things along, how do you feel about some of the add-ons that would go on here, or everybody? Are you good with $3 water treatment, $3 distribution? I don't know how you feel, you know? And if we raise the HCF cost,
Mhm.
$3, what was that now?
That's right.
$3.
3 each on the water treatment
So they do
distribution,
two-
we'd be
$2
looking
treatment,
at, if I remember correctly,
Is that what you figured is 3 and 3 or?
Yeah,
That's what's
Okay.
proposed.
that's, so you could go with the
Okay.
conservative of 2 and 2, but it'll just be a minimal charge. We won't be able to really save, have a reserves building that quick. And then a 3 and 3 gives us stronger reserves, better cost matching, including the 85 cents. And then if we wanted to really maximize reserves and buildup, it's 4 and 4, but that's,
And what you mentioned earlier that would bring down the total bill.
yeah, so currently, with all the add-ons right now, your bill's roughly, base rate is 70 and 12 cents, right? Well,
Right.
the 755 is dropping off for the filter plant. So after we include the 3 and 3, so that's the 3 treatment, 3 distribution, your bill would be 68.
Yeah. I think that would be, if you can show them that we're gonna collect $3 for each one of them, and the bill's still gonna go down because of that, losing that $7.
Now, that's your base rate. If-
Now, we
if
won't
your
lose the
usage
full
is
7.
going up.
we won't
Yeah.
lose the full
Yeah.
755.
So if you're a person that uses 2 HCF,
And maybe $6.
you're like, oh, cool, my bill's
Yeah.
way cheaper,
Right.
it's cheaper.
Yeah.
And
It
the
works
small,
for me,
the
but you
small
might be the
increase
guy
in
that
the
uses
water.
100, and you're like, well, no way, now it's gonna cost me double, or whatever.
But if I am at 10 or less HCF a month, I'm going to go up a max of
Exactly.
$2.90 for my
Exactly,
water.
and then for average, a household uses 15. So if we do the 3 and 3, even if they use the average, their bill's gonna be $1 less per month.
Yeah.
Except the full 755 won't come off at the end of the year, because that's still that second loan.
This is after the 755.
Yeah.
So the 755 will be included until that falls
And that
off
would be
after
in
that.
year
then this
2
is-
of this Prop 218. So there's one other component that has not been considered that I always thought would be, and that is in every water treatment system, you have a certain amount of water loss.
Mhm.
So last year we paid we purchased 2,840 acre feet of water.
Mhm.
Okay, so there's a percentage that never made it to the customer or was never billed to the customers.
And we-
Okay, but it was an expense to the district. Typical water treatment, 3%, 4% water loss.
Yeah, about
Okay.
3.
And then with leaks and whatnot, and it is aging infrastructure, what's a reasonable factor? 7%?
Yeah. 10.
Is that reasonable?
7.
7 or 8? Because at one time, Bill and I thought it might have been as high as 12. But
That-
there
yeah,
were
it
leaks
could
all
be.
over the time, but you've been real good at getting the curb stops and whatnot.
Yep.
So, and I took a look at 2,800 acre feet at 29 cents additional,
Mhm.
and then did it at 92% collection, and that's $320,000, which would be collected annually on the water. We would have to make recommendations to the board as to what is that used for.
Replacing the critical infrastructure that's in that first
Right.
list that Jen has.
Okay, I think that's one way of showing how we can fund some of that. So, let me do
And
real
then
quick.
he also had the district's portion of the other items that are coming,
Mhm.
that would have to come up with 5.4
Okay.
million. Well, what would the loan cost on that be annually? Say, okay, after the first 2 years of this 300,000 to
Mhm.
do all the valve replacements and the,
Right,
and then we'd have to shift over and have loan
I
payments
would
of
want to hold
300,000.
some of it for the water treatment plant too, though, because we do have the issues with trans-4 and
But would that be
6.
part of the $3 or the $3 distribution that would give me that reserve?
I don't
not
know.
the-
That's
the
something worth discussing,
290,
definitely.
the 3% increase? Because I was
Um,
talking about the HCF increase
Right,
funds, right?
yeah, the
Yeah.
HCF, it would be about 320,000 a year. Okay,
We haven't determined what that's gonna be used for. It will be used for most likely capital improvement.
so if we're at 7% loss based on the 2,840 acre feet of water, the water loss is about 200 acre feet.
Mhm.
And what is the current bureau, $36 an acre foot?
Yeah, I don't have it with me, but I.
So a little over
sounds about right.
$7,000 we're losing.
I-
No, annual.
I would
I
say
went
it's
off
more
of
than
acre
that.
feet
Yes, it doesn't say it.
and, figured out a 200 acre foot loss through the water treatment plant, backwash ponds and whatnot, and leaks. So about 200 acre feet off of that 2,840. And then you multiply that by what the bureau was charging us per acre foot. So
So
it'd
7,000.
be about $7,200.
That's not very much.
No, it's not.
It's more than that. I'm pretty sure it's more.
Okay,
than
so you
that.
think it's more than
10,000.
7%?
I
Okay.
think at least 10.
All right, so now we're at 280 acre feet. So now you push north of 10,000.
Yeah.
Do we, in the water rate, try to recapture that as a penny per HCF?
Well, if you do the capital improvement, that should come down.
Well, and that's, the numbers that I'm going off of right now is kind of when I first got here, and there was a lot more leaks. So I would say the water loss is probably less. It is less because we haven't had a
Right.
major breaks.
That doesn't mean that there won't be some.
Absolutely.
All we gotta have is an earthquake and watch what happens.
But that also goes with what Dennis
Let's
just
hope not,
said,
but,
with the capital improvement and sustaining the system, there will be less water loss.
Yeah,
I agree.
For the next
Next
years,
Prop 218.
yeah, Prop 218 2 years.
Yeah,
It's not gonna come down. Yeah, I mean, we'll thoroughly get the projects done in 2 years.
That's right.
exactly.
And then we'll have year 3 and year 4, but that'll be the next Prop 218 to adjust based on what the real costs are and how it's gone that prior 2 years. So we'll have a better chance. That's why we wanted to look at it every 2 years instead of every 5.
That,
Okay.
that-
Now, we still need to then come up with a construction cost index and a consumer price index on the base rate for the next, proposed for the next 2 years. We're gonna come up with a base rate of X. So only in year 2, after year 1, can we do that percentage increase. So whatever we figure out the base rate to be, in year 2, we need to come up with, an increase on the base, maybe not the water, that,
Right.
but, does it,
I was
will
looking
it
at
be
the-
for distribution and the water? And
I
charge
would say-
everybody in there?
I would-
Because we haven't increased the 1081, even though the base rate's gone up by 1.8, we did not increase this.
Yeah,
Do we want to do that?
I think the water rate should also jump up because of the cost of chemicals is going.
I agree. And PG&E. Right now, the AT&T bill is up to $600 a month for a water treatment plant because they don't want to support the infrastructure and whatnot. We're going to probably have to look into a grant and figure out how we're going to get, so they can remote monitor the treatment plant, not have to be down there 24/7, things like that.
Yeah.
So, and eventually that will bring that bill down. But do we want to have a construction cost index or something on whatever that, say it's 1640 or something? Just as an example, base rate plus 1640. Do we include in there a construction cost index or a consumer price index? Because it hasn't been done.
Right,
Or something.
I think we want the option to do up to the consumer construction cost index,
Yeah,
because
and the
it's,
verbiage.
Yeah,
the 2021 was 13.4%, 22 was 9.3, 9.4, then in 2024 it dropped to 2.3, and they're saying 2025 is 3.9.
Uh-huh.
So I think we need to have it that,
Do we do an
Yes.
average? But we're also going to
No.
be dealing with only 2
You don't
years.
you just
I
do
understand.
what it is.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's the consumer price. So,
this is the,
so the
Construction,
well,
CPI,
this is the construction.
oh, that's the
This is-
construction.
Yeah, this is construction.
Yeah,
CT.
you would have to, otherwise you wouldn't stay solvent as
Yeah.
far as.
Except part of that 1640 is the filter plant repayment, the Win Act repayment, that state dollar, and we can't really charge on those, can we? Aren't those fixed? Can we really do a construction cost index charge on the 755? We can't. Okay,
be
so
on-
you'd have to break those out.
It
yeah.
could be on
Yeah,
the
those are
reserve,
fixed.
Those are fixed. We can't charge more on those.
so just on a base rate.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Then if it's just on the base rate, where do we pick up the extra $6 or $6.25? Do we do an increase on that portion of it?
If we call that our project, I don't know what you.
Project fees
Yeah,
or?
project fee,
Well, that goes into question if instead of the 10, what is it, 1082, 1092 that we're trying?
1081 right now.
1081, they pay the base rate and then you could include, then you could justify including the CCI increase.
Not on the loan to repay the water treatment plant though.
I'm saying the 1640 or whatever you're saying
Right.
now, we couldn't justify using the CCI because it's going into the treatment plan and those type of things. But if you had those people paying the base rate, not just the 1640, is that what you're
Okay.
referring to? Then you could
Right,
justify
in
paying the
this
CCI.
1081 is the filter
Yes.
plant the Wind Act, the
Yeah.
backwash pond, and that dollar.
Yeah.
Okay, and those are kind of fixed, so we can't do that.
Yeah.
Right.
My question
That's
is,
what I'm saying.
do we do it to the other 625 if that's what the board approves? Do we do an inflationary index on that portion?
The other
Sure.
25.
That's the
And that would
$6,
be
that's the $3
water treatment,
treatment.
distribution, and maybe the administrative facility, if that's something that's approved.
Yeah,
Well, that would just be part of the base rate, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Well,
this
that's
is-
what I'm asking. I'm challenging you guys
Yeah,
to come up with the
yes.
answers.
That would just be part of the base rate. So,
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Okay. So then this would really, actually, since if this is only the base rate, then these guys aren't paying it.
Right, but we don't want that to
Right.
be in the base rate, we want it to
That's
be a
right.
project fee or a
Okay?
capital improvement.
So if it's gonna be part of the 316, which we all agree it should be, then it can't be the base rate. It has to put into, I don't know, how do you wanna do that? Do we do away with these items and lock them into the base rate? Or do they have to be separate? Because they are time sensitive. That's gonna be paid off, that's gonna be paid off, that's gonna be paid off. We may get rid of that one altogether. So legally, I think we have to keep these separate from the base rate.
And I
Okay?
think we need to do
But
that.
this, if we put it in the base rate only,
They don't pay.
Why would they have to be separate from the base rate? They
because,
are the base rate.
no, the 755 is not part of the base rate. The filter, that's a loan.
Right, but it's gotta be repaid and everybody should be repaying it.
Well, okay,
They aren't using it.
Doesn't
they're
matter
not-
whether they're using it, it's their
they're,
form to
these
use.
folks
Oh,
are
that-
only paying the
They won't
1081.
like that.
Well, that's only 316 people that,
It's gonna be 316, they're gonna pull their meters.
So that's why I'm doing this so you guys will discuss and think about it. Okay? One, we've got to do it legally. Two, we want to make sure that if we've decided that we want these folks to be responsible for their share of this, how do we do that?
I think that the $6, $6.25, whatever we decide needs to be separate line item on the bill, so that the
they
district
know what it's going.
can be accountable
There's
for
a-
tracking the funds.
I like that. I
And
think that's a
separate.
possibility.
And then in 2 years, when we evaluate, okay, what grants were we able to get, what loans were we able to get? Hey, we're able to drop that down to $2, or here's the justification why we need to go to $3.50.
Or it's a positive net at the end of the 2 years and we roll it
And we can-
into the next
And
project.
then we can reduce that down to 225.
Possibly, and that's another
Right.
reason to review it every
But I
2
think if it's
years.
separate, you're gonna,
I think you have to.
yeah. And then it's also can be charged to the people who's 316, and
So you want to create a separate line item. So you have a base rate, then you've got your load factors, and then you've got your modernization, say, okay? And
And I think
I
if
think
we're-
that would probably work.
I feel like if we use the CCI, that should go into the HCF every year,
To the HCF,
the 85 cents. 'cause
Yes,
that's,
we have done a CPI,
We do the
and it's
same.
1.9,
but I would do,
but we didn't collect it.
I would do the CCI because that's directly related to the cost of maintaining the wages and everything like that.
So you're talking about CCI on the base or even on
No.
this?
On the HCF.
On the
On the
HCF.
On the HCF.
So she's proposing that,
Is that gonna, I understand, is that gonna be able to be incorporated in your proposed 85 cents though? Because otherwise you're talking about pushing it up another 2 cents or more per HCF?
that's something that we would have to talk about.
I understand that. So that's something else we need to think about is what's the ceiling? I mean, we can charge what we want to charge, but that doesn't mean we should charge that much.
I'm wondering about the
Ag rates?
rate. That's a big jump for the ag users.
Yes, it is.
They use big amounts of water.
And the Bureau, for the most part, but not always, charges less for that water. Okay, it's $3 or
A
so.
little bit.
Is it $8 this year, less per acre foot, I
I
think?
think he
Yeah.
told us.
But I've seen it more.
To speak
M&I
on
water.
that, at current rates, most ag customers use larger meters, correct?
Yeah,
Um,
so you're saving by not doing meter
Meter
size base rate. That's a significant savings.
correct.
But I took a look at, for myself, if I just used, I don't remember what I used, my water bill before the base rate would be about $240 a month for my summer months, just for the water.
Right.
Then throw another 70 on top of that. I'm over 300
You
a
have
month.
a 4-inch meter?
I have a 4-inch meter. Yes, and I know RCAC suggested 685 a month before I used anything.
That's what Chico's.
Yeah, one thing, well,
But there aren't that many. What are there, 220 or something ag customers?
You know that?
Now, I don't want to stick them in that because I'm one of them. And I'm also one of the ones who pays the double base rate because I have 2 homes.
yeah, so am I.
So, it's just the way it is. I've been doing it for 25 years. I don't know, we were started as an ag district.
Mhm.
And it used to be just ditch water. But if we raise it up to 85, are we killing off ag more than it already had because of the drought?
Could you do a tiered rate, 0.85 for the first 30 and then
That
drop
was
it
the other
down?
part of the proposal.
How do you guys feel about it?
Yeah, that
Tiered
would
by
be
size.
better.
There are districts that do tiered rates on water.
If you,
Bella Vista does one for the first so many HCF.
Yeah,
Yeah.
$3 or
Yeah.
something, and then
yeah.
So that's
I see.
possible, as
That's
long as we don't
possible.
have problems with CUSI in programming it in.
Yeah, we have to look into that, but I mean, I'm sure it's.
I guess that we
feasible.
want to make sure our customers are happy too,
Absolutely.
and it's
Right.
not.
Now, the other thing is the Bureau is supposed to be, when there's a drought, they do a 3-year average of M&I usage. But as an ag customer, I also have M&I usage in my home. So how many HCF, and I think that they only looked at the M&I customers to create that 3-year average, which we're now at about 2,187 acre feet of water. And then there would be a percentage of that. If they cut it to 50%, we'd lose half of that. And I've always thought that we needed to make sure that the ag customers had a M&I component to their readings. And if we did the rate that way, that might give the Bureau the numbers they need to boost our up. Because when a drought hits, and there will be one in the next few years, we could have a 25 or 50% or whatever cut in the allocations of water. So by boosting that 3-year average up as high as we can, that's why at board meetings when we were talking about water, we said, buy as much as you can afford because you're helping the whole district. So I'd like to have, it may only boost it up to 2,300 acre feet, but that's, 1,150 acre feet that we could get at one rate and then buy from McConnell. I really don't want to use the wells if we don't have to,
Yeah,
because you're looking at just electric and chemicals, probably 650 an acre foot.
yeah,
And we can buy McConnell for 250.
yeah.
So,
One thing we have to, kind of think about, say that we raise the rates, the district will use less water. It will cut
yes,
down a little bit.
yes, there were customers who were cut back,
Because people
absolutely.
will, conserve.
And when the
So
drought
that's-
hits, there's a lot fewer lawns out here now,
So,
after that 4-year drought.
so as far as getting the total dollars that we need, we have to remember that.
Oh, I agree. Now, one of the things that we do have in the district though is that supplemental water program. So in a drought, the board can buy water if you apply and say it's 250 an acre foot. And if the board can acquire that for the ag customers, they pay the 250 up front. They have the normal water year to use it. And if they don't, they lose it. So they can buy 1, 2, 5 acre feet of water. It's up to them. And then on their bill, they would pay the treatment cost
Right.
per HCF. Okay? But that enables them, at least if you have livestock or other things, to have water instead of saying, well, your allocation is only 40 HCF for the month. And that's, I think, what really killed ag in here. There were too many customers who were struggling just to get enough water for their horses.
Well, one thing, for a long time, the ag folks were not charged for the treatment plant. And that's why we had very cheap water for a long time.
Except there was that ag surcharge. And that
Yeah.
was $28 a month for me.
Right, and then, parcels started getting sold off and homes started being built. And so then they said, well, if you have a house on the ag, you pay double base rate.
No, if you have 2 homes.
No, we paid double base rate for years.
Are you talking in the 80s, 90s or something?
2000, yeah, we paid, I think, right up to this proposition. Well, I think the first proposition.
That's back when the base rate was around 22.
Yeah,
Okay.
we paid a double base rate for years.
I did, but I had 2
Because-
homes with the 1 meter and paid the double base rate. And the double 1081.
Well, you paid double with what the single,
Well, yeah,
yeah.
but it was based on a proposition back in around 1997.
Yeah, I
Okay.
remember that.
And I tried researching it and couldn't find enough information to say the district had done it wrong, because if they were doing it particularly before that passed, became law, they had to hold a Prop 218.
Yeah.
To,
I think the Bureau complained because the Bureau is serving agricultural water and a lot of it's being used for domestic use.
Yeah.
And so that's when they started
Thank you.
charging the double base rate.
Okay.
Yeah,
Not to interrupt, but
yeah.
but
Not a
do we
problem.
want to, with the next meeting or tasks that,
We still have a lot of work to do.
okay.
Okay. I'm hoping that we can get everything done by the June board meeting, mid-June somewhere, that then we can start the 45-day.
Okay,
And
so if you, maybe in a group email out,
I'll have
Anything-
Dale contact you.
yeah, anything that I
Okay.
can do to help.
I appreciate it.
And,
Yeah.
the next
Go enjoy your
meeting.
vacation.
I gotta go.
Thank you for your
Yeah.
help. Okay. So I don't know if we want to do something on water loss or not.
Yeah. Well, it's something, to keep in back of our mind.
Yeah, okay. It's something to consider, think
Yeah.
about.
For that little amount of money, I'm not sure whether you want to do anything either, but, to increase.
Now, if it's 10,000, then in 5 years, it's 50,000. What does that do? That's a valve replacement, maybe 2. That's my only thought. I look at it, not just, it's a small amount here. How much is it here? That's how I pay off my home.
Yeah, I guess my vote would be no, because I want there to be an incentive to the district to fix pipelines and that. If they can the more loss we have, we just
I
charge
agree.
more.
One of the incentives is the annual review of the general manager.
Yeah.
And how he's doing.
Yeah.
Okay? So I think there's enough incentive, and with his operational background, I don't have a real concern about them getting lazy. We're not gonna hire contractors to do the work unless it's absolutely necessary, okay?
Yeah.
You know, they got a period where that's all they did. Well, just hire these guys, come on in.
Yeah, we're not doing.
Wasted, you know,
Yeah,
a few $100,000.
and one thing about Jim's report, and Jim knows, so he might have figured that cost in, I don't know, but if we do the work ourselves, it's just what we pay our employees. If you get loan, or, I mean, get some funding,
Mhm,
you have to pay the prevailing wage.
mhm.
What do you think that raises the cost of a project? It's substantial.
Yeah, prevailing wage is not cheap.
Okay, one thing we have not considered, and we have to, is our base rate is $59 plus right now.
Mhm.
Now, we know that through all of the various costs, administrative costs, chemicals, whatnot, that are covered under this base rate, we know that there's maybe a 7% or so, 8% increase as an aggregate, possibly. So the base rate has to go up. So it's not just, you know, it's only gonna be the same. There could be a couple of dollars increase off of that also. So that, there will be probably a small impact. Okay, and I can't tell you right now what that is because we don't have enough information, but we do have to figure out that there will be an increase in here. I want to keep it as small as possible because if we do the extra this, that's gonna, you know, eat up that $755.
Of course.
But, you know, I can't have our budget, operating budget, go negative.
Of course.
You have to have the O&M and whatnot. We have to make the OPEB payments and all that. Okay. Speaking of OPEB, if at the next finance meeting, I know it's not part of this, if you could have our status on the OPEB.
Sure.
Okay. And what our unfunded balance is. I know I was reading Bella Vista's and theirs is fairly high, like 1.8 million or something. So they'll be paying for years.
But they're a big, you know, a lot
27
bigger.
employees. They actually have 5 openings right now, according to that information.
What's the total number of the public out there that's paying?
Connections, was it
Yeah.
6,900 or was it 9,100? I'm trying to remember
Bella
what Bella
Vista?
Vista was.
I don't know.
I think it was over 9,000 connections.
Yeah.
And
So-
yes,
So it may
they can
not take
afford
them
that.
that long.
yeah, and we have a third of that.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but we do have to, you know, do we do this and do we put something in for year 2 down here? Do we do the construction cost and the,
You can't do both.
but we have it in the current one, we just never collected.
No,
That's why
I
not.
don't think it's in the current one.
Bella Vista, it says it has 18,000
Connections?
service connections.
Wow. I didn't read that in the Bella Vista one.
We put it in, the base rate goes up each month.
Mm-hmm, that was a 1.8%.
And the water rate goes up.
You know what? Bella Vista does an annual review. We've done an annual review based on actual costs. What the Bureau was charging, what the utilities were, what the chemicals were. We did that every year in March at the board meeting to set the new water rates for the year.
You know,
Yeah, I would think the water rate would be fluid, you know.
It has 4.1% in it, but it was also supposed to have 1.9%, which we never collected, for the consumer price index. One was for
That-
reserves
that-
and one was for the
No,
anticipated
no.
inflation.
I don't think so.
Well, I do, because I read it recently, but that's okay. That's,
I've got,
if we want to do just one amount, then we'll need to at some point figure out what it is that in year 2, because we'll come up with a new base rate for the first year, and then some sort of an index
Yeah.
to do the proper increase, whether it's construction cost or consumer price. Typically, and Sarah's right, it should be the construction cost. Okay?
I agree.
Okay, so that's done. We'll use the construction cost.
If you guys agree,
Yeah.
then that's the recommendation we'll make to the board. It's not done, the board has to approve it.
Well, that is just one tiny thing of this whole thing.
I know, but it's
So-
all these things that have to be done.
Well, when we're done, we'll present it to the board and they can vote
Absolutely.
yes or no.
That's right. Or, I'd like to do a draft of it and allow the board to discuss and make recommendations if they feel, and have us rework a little bit and then come back with a final to be approved and done.
Yeah, really, it's kind of strange. The last time the board passed something, and then some time went and some questions come up, and I go, oh, yeah. And then they changed everything and passed it again.
Mhm.
We've been at this for a couple
Yeah.
hours. When do we want to meet again?
Check my calendar here.
Terry, anything coming up?
Not that I know of. Depends on the day.
I understand. That's why I'm asking.
Usually at night, I don't have too much.
So the extra charge was gonna be $6.25, is that right?
No, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
We haven't voted and said, let's propose that or take it as a recommendation.
We gotta
If we do 3, and 25 for the administrative facility, then yeah, you're right, it would be 625.
so 25 cents is for here?
Yeah.
That's what we're proposing right now or discussing.
Um,
Administrative facility, not just the building, but the whole facility.
do we want to meet in April or May?
I should maybe towards the end, April, but when was she
Right.
coming back? I can't.
Sometime in May,
something.
but she's available by email.
Yeah.
We have an ag meeting on April 29th. So that one's already
Yeah, we have
booked.
an ag meeting. We
Okay.
could do, what about, April 24th? It's a Friday.
Okay.
Would that work?
Yeah, it's fine with me. I haven't got anything on April 24th.
I don't know what I'll be.
April 24th, can we do, would you guys be open to 5:30?
It's fine with me. I don't like staying up this late now, so.
I mean-
Caitlin,
That's tight for me because I'm usually off work at 5:15. I'll do as best I can, but
okay,
that's.
We could do 6. I mean, I'm with
Yes.
Terry.
Yeah, 5:30 or 6 is fine with me.
Yeah, it's fine with me.
Yeah,
Time doesn't really matter.
yeah, I'm
How about
retired,
you?
so.
Okay, so we'll do the 24th. You wanted a 6?
That's easy.
Okay.
We got 6 PM, 24.
All right.
Okay, so what do we need to get done between now and then?
a lot of thinking.
Well, a lot of thinking. We've got to clarify what the construction cost index should
Yep.
be.
No, we've
To take
already,
this
we've
59 up.
already,
No,
59.
yeah, it's, the base rate currently is $59 and some cents. Now, with the projected increase in all of the, off of our P&Ls, we have to increase the starting base rate up to something. And then in year 2, put a construction cost.
Well, let's get the
index in.
base rates and all of that. Let's decide on what we're
Right,
gonna
exactly,
charge
exactly.
before we worry about what we're
Okay.
gonna add on.
Exactly.
Yeah,
All right.
Right.
So we need to crunch the numbers on what Sarah did and look at projections for insurance and regulatory fees and payroll. We got an MOU coming up. We have to project those into the budget because you have to have some idea of what the rate's gonna be to do the budget.
Of course.
Okay, so that's my concern too, is that we provide you with the tools you need.
Yeah, I can work on that.
See
We can
what,
work with Sarah.
Now, we're only gonna be billing the 2657 in the budget,
Right.
okay? So they have to cover all of the monthly operational costs.
So, see, last time, what we did is we just looked at these numbers, the annual, the income,
Right?
and we picked one,
Mm-hmm.
and then we figured, okay, what additional costs have we got?
Mm-hmm.
And then we just, we added a buffer.
Yeah,
Of course.
you kinda have to.
A 10% buffer, thank God. We put the buffer in, and then we just made the rates come out to that amount.
Yep.
That's the.
What if we do a comparison of the annual expenses, taking out your grants and things, over the last couple of years, do a comparison and look for a percentage increase that is done year over year of actual expenses. I know the stuff Sarah brought in, it was a little harder to figure, but,
Yeah.
you know,
The
we have
increase
to
is
come up with
gonna
a.
be the CPI.
Okay. You're talking CPI for the base rate?
No, for the increase.
Oh, the increase.
From year to year. Yeah, we're not,
Except the CPI won't work for us because regulatory fees and other things, the gas costs right now have skyrocketed.
well, I mean,
Insurance has gone from 53,000 to 81 or 2,000 just for the vehicles in 3 years' time.
well, I didn't, that's CPI, I meant CCI.
Okay,
Okay, yeah.
that would be for year two though. To start off with what the starting base rate should be with the
Yeah.
Prop 218.
Well,
We have to figure out what the actual expenses of the district are
Yeah.
and project what they will be for the next fiscal year.
Right,
we could
Dale,
use,
you should
we
be able
could
to
use
get
the
that with no
CCI,
problem.
we could use the CCI.
Okay, so I think that's a starting point, and then we can figure out some of the rest of it.
Okay.
And then do we also want to look at the other fees, your capacity charges and some of the other things that belong on, or do they belong on the
That's,
Prop 218?
That's policy.
Yeah,
That's all those extras are policy then,
right.
okay? Then we don't have to worry about it. That'll be dealt with, planning, steering, finance.
Yeah, we'll deal with that later.
Okay, very good.
And so, now, let me get this straight. And for what Jim is doing, we're gonna do the $6.
Yeah, so.
Three for water treatment, 3 for distribution.
Distribution.
One of those have gotta be kept, they've gotta be separate, because
That's correct.
one is on the fixed rate, and one's on the,
No,
it won't.
Each of the
It'll just be
$3
separate.
are gonna go into reserve accounts.
Yeah,
One reserve account for modernization, expansion for the distribution, and the same one for the water treatment
treatment.
plant.
and then the
Okay.
25 cents is for facilities.
The
Facility,
administrative facilities,
yes.
everything on there. So if they have to resurface the parking lot,
Yeah, so probably those would be separate, because
Yes,
one is, the treatment plan is
correct.
different from the
Yes.
distribution.
And remember when I talked about an operations reserve for both water treatment and distribution? Capping it at 50,000, so if during the budget year, there are some extraordinary expenses, and what the $3 will go into that operation reserve initially, and when it hits its cap of 50,000, all of it rolls into the modernization expansion for the distribution or for the water treatment. And actually, I think, looking at the reserve accounts, we can already set some up till we start funding
Yeah, see,
the modernization.
I'm not sure we can do that.
Why? If we can't legally, then we need to know.
Yeah, it'd be.
But I want to do it legally, and
Well-
make sure that we're doing it to where we cover the future needs of the district too.
I mean, I can certainly understand doing that. But then you read the proposition rules, and you can't say, okay, if we have some excess here, we're just gonna put it over there. You go,
Yeah.
what's it going for? Oh, well, whatever we're working on. You know?
Well, modernization expansion.
Yeah,
So for the water treatment, that goes towards rebuilding the treatment or replacing trains
Yeah.
4 and 6,
If it's a reserve,
or the actuaries or whatever,
where it's
actually-
essentially
or pumps.
operations and maintenance in the sense that we're building the reserve to prolong the life of the current system. We're not putting that money in there to add a storage tank that we don't need, or, add an office building over on the side. We're using it in case like, hey, we have to replace 100 feet of C900 with 4 valves and this and that, and then because we have to.
By doing this, I think we're gonna be able to plan out repairs to extend the life of the system.
so that would be a reserve.
Yes.
Right, both would be reserves. An operational reserve in case of budget shortfalls for the O&M for distribution. And they had 110,000 shortfall one year because they used contractors. Okay, same
Well-
thing on the water treatment. If a couple of those valves or other things blow, and we know that there were some pinhole leaks in some of the pipes, and if it's a pinhole in the surface, it's probably quarter to $half size on the inside. So we know, we have some known unknowns. We know it's failing, we don't know when.
So what reserves have we?
Well, we've started working on them.
Yeah.
The
that's-
board has to approve them. Okay,
We're gonna figure it out,
yes.
and then we're gonna send a package to the board.
Well, I don't think we can do Prop 218 and put this money without having reserves that it goes to. I think we have to approve the reserves first, which I'm hoping
Yeah,
to
yeah,
deal with
You would,
at the next board meeting,
yeah,
the April board meeting.
yeah,
That's
okay.
the intention, okay? Get
So,
those approved, then they fit the Prop 218. We want to rename a couple. We have a car fire one that has to be deleted because that's not done.
Well, aren't you gonna want the reserve for the $3 and the $3? So
Yes,
that they don't get convoluted in there?
Yes.
correct. They'll be named for
And-
separate.
They don't, this cap that you're putting on it, I don't quite understand why we're putting a cap on anything.
So there'd be two essential reserves per, 2 for distribution, 2 for treatment. There'd be the operational reserve that is essentially that if we need to replace a valve and we don't have the money.
In the budget.
It's in the budget, it would come from there.
Right.
Then we have the capital improvement essentially, where we're reserving money for future projects and or future major breaks.
Okay, so you're making a slush fund for operations and maintenance to draw out of.
Essentially, but then also we have the reserves to do these projects that we need now, like the PRB and those type of things.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we won't have it.
What we're proposing is an operational reserve for each water and distribution, each of them, and capping it at 50,000, okay? To help on any budget year.
Yeah. I don't-
Operation, what,
You can just have one.
Yeah.
We could.
Yeah, I'd rather just see one and not say, well, we're gonna move from here to here if
I understand.
you need it.
The other thought is if we can build this, say 125K, and we overspend on that because of emergencies, you draw off of this up to there.
No.
No?
Do
You say
one, and, because if you're replacing valves, it's operation and maintenance. It's nothing different than that.
Right.
So, because the valves are not working, so you've got to
Yeah,
replace them.
exactly.
So it's an operation and maintenance. If you get it, try to do this, I think
Too
it's gonna be hard to
convoluted.
sell.
Okay,
Yeah,
And then also, that, say if we keep building it, it gets up to whatever, 250,000, then we could be, hey, we have enough to put in a PRV station down there.
right.
right. And
Yeah,
that, which is
that's what we're trying
maintenance
to do.
again,
Exactly.
So
You can tie anything
Preventative
into
maintenance,
maintenance, so.
Yeah.
So you're recommending that instead of having two here, just one for each?
Right.
Okay.
And then just call it like a water treatment reserve and then a distribution
Right.
reserve.
All right. Right now, the 4.1% on the water rate goes into just what's generically called an operational reserve.
Right.
But it doesn't say water
No.
treatment or anything else.
You can,
So,
what's the reserves they recommend?
yeah, I know, and I have that.
And it's emergency reserve.
Right. And I've got samples of that from multiple districts also.
There's emergency capital improvement.
Capital improvement.
And so, and instead of.
And those are the unrestricted
Well,
reserves.
you're calling it, the modernization.
Well, then we can rename it to the capital improvement. It just happened to be in our current list of reserves,
Right.
modernization, expansion.
Oh,
So I was keeping that name temporarily.
okay. Expansion.
Okay, so to Dale,
Yeah.
you're talking about the HCF at 85 cents.
Yes.
Okay, does that include the 4.1?
No. No.
And
That's
what
just
about-
off.
And what about the CPI?
I didn't include those.
Okay, is that something we're gonna
We
include in
could
there
include
on
it
top
in
of
there
the
if we
85?
want, or we could add that on additionally.
That's
It's
what I'm
up to-
asking.
To everybody. I just factored in our 56 cents, this is where we're at. If we push it to 85 cents, this is where we would be.
Okay, now, let's think about that. We've got 4.1 on it currently. If we're gonna bump the HCF fee up by 29 cents from its current 56, do we still want to collect the 4.1?
Not the first year.
Not the first year?
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree. And
All right.
the second year.
Second year.
But I thought we
yeah.
already agreed to that.
Well, I have to get consensus to make a presentation to the board.
Well, we're not making a presentation.
Not
to the board.
yet.
We've already decided that we're gonna do that second year. Nobody ever said anything about adding to
No,
this 85 cents already.
okay.
85 cents is,
Well, we all
That's a
all
big
inclusive,
jump.
because that
Yeah.
was supposed to be
That's a
for
big jump.
reserves, not the CPI. The CPI would be year two. But the
Right.
4.1 was supposed to be for reserves for the water. That was what the 4.1% on the water rate
for
was.
what reserve?
For the water treatment plant.
You've
It's right in the
already
rate study.
putting a reserve up there for water
I
treatment
agree.
plant.
What I'm trying to say is right now, in our water rate is 4.1% for reserves. But
Right.
if we go with this or whatever, do we want to take that out of the equation?
Oh, okay, I get what you're saying.
Okay? Otherwise, are we billing them twice for the same thing?
Right.
I'm
I
looking
guess
for
we would
clarification.
take it out because otherwise, yeah, you're double dipping.
Right.
I agree. But I wanted to get that point across. Let's make sure we keep it clean,
Mhm.
okay? Because we can forget otherwise.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Okay.
No.
Nope, I'm ready to go home and go to bed.
That's fine.
All right,
It
yes,
is 9:08 and I'm adjourning this